We are live. All right, yeah, guys. So, anyways, and that's how it happened. You know, they were all running out of the house. Everybody naked. I swear to God, that's the first Thanksgiving. Anyways, yeah. So, welcome everybody that is listening to CornStars. This is episode 4442. It's been a lot of work in the making. We're excited to have some special guests. I'm here with Joe Rosa, my co-host, the host, the bestest with the mostest. I'm not entirely sure how that's working. I've got Alex with Keystone Corns and JT with Silent Hill Reptiles. This is going to be just a fun episode. We haven't recorded in a while. It's been a lot of life things going on, and that's kind of just going to be all right. But we're going to start recording a few more episodes. We have a few guests lined up. Like we've said in the past, sometimes the hardest thing is getting guests. So now that we've got that sorted, we're going to be moving forward with a few more episodes. As always, CornStars is brought to you by BlackBox Cages. BlackBox Cages is one of the superior cage makers, rack makers. What's the tubs? They make display cages. One of the better in the hobby. They make a great quality project. Everything's been engineered for efficiency. I have an XR20 and recently got an XR16 that should be delivered really any day. Again, I'm super excited the quality of the products. So if you would like to check out BlackBox Cages, check out their BlackBox Cages, blackboxcages.com. Sorry, I'm a little caffeinated today. And use code THN25 for a little discount at checkout. Also, this episode is brought to us by Silent Hill Reptiles. I have JT on the hook talking to us about some of his projects this year. JT, do you have anything filled up on your morph market already?
No, morph market's pretty empty right now.
Okay, but I know we were going to be sharing a few pictures later, so I'm excited to show people what you're working with, what your plans are, what you may already have cooking, because I know you breed a little earlier than some, and we're gonna talk about how we do that. That's JT with Silent Hill Reptiles. It's also brought to you by Fulvius Apparel. I've got a Fulvius Apparel Panther Rowfish shirt and a pretty sweet Fulvius Apparel hat. Justin's been making a lot of awesome designs. You can see your Don't Be a Hemipene hat that Mr. Rosa here is wearing. And Justin's been coming up with killer designs. He's constantly coming up with new stuff. I do not know how the man does it. He stays extremely busy. Always impressed with the fun things he's putting out. I got a couple hoodies from him this year. If you see a design you really like, I'm sure you could bug him. He could put it on a coffee mug or a hat or a hoodie for you. But if you're on the site and you're looking, use code THN and you'll get 15% off your order. So that is pretty exciting. So today we're going to have a bit of a breeding corn snakes roundtable. We're going to talk about a little of the logistics of how we do it, why we do it, where we do it, the birds and the bees for these animals. Maybe a little bit of how we may see it happen naturally, especially with the expanse across the country. This is a species that has a pretty long range. Everybody say what's up. Let's start with Joe. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Get over the every time that we're gonna record or go live or anything, my body automatically goes into oh shit frantic mode.
Yeah.
And get set up, make sure everything's fine. Oh my god, it's 4:30. Everybody thought I was recording at 5:45 today because it was in my calendar for the family wrong. I have no idea what the hell I was doing. Yeah, now finally get to sit down. Chris's face calms me. Everything's fine.
Just watch. Let me soak up all your anxiety. I am a sponge. Let me be the nervous and freaked out one. Let my ADD calm your nerves.
Yes.
And I have Alex and JT here. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Yeah. Yep. I had the day off today, so pretty relaxing. I got asked last minute to come on. Yep.
I mean, it was hours ago. It's okay.
Yeah. JT, how we doing?
We're only 20, 25 minutes apart, so makes it pretty easy. I've got really bad internet at the home, so.
Yes, I remember the Silent Hill episode. This is going to be a much more palatable experience.
Yes, we should be good to go here. So
good.
Awesome. Well, we always like to start with a little bit of this is what we're doing right now at this moment. This is where we've been. Joe, start us out.
Restarted pairing last night. So we've been having some pretty nice rain. It's been a little chilly, but a lot of really nice rain as it's warming up. And males are out cruising, females are out cruising even. And so I went out and started throwing what the fuck? Started throwing snakes together to see if I was going to get any interest, hoping to get some locks while I was just sitting there, because every once in a while I'll pair somebody and they're just like, oh, cool. They're already going at it before I even close the drawer. But yeah, leave them there for a few days, go check on them. Oh, no, I got a new snake a couple days ago.
Ooh, what did we get?
Smitty sent me a rhino rat snake.
Awesome.
Tiny little thing. This little shit makes me so nervous because I've never dealt with Asian colubrids before. And like I can provide all the parameters and everything, but the way that it moves and the way that it's acting it's a little foreign. I'm just like, Don't break the tiny snake. Like, I know how to deal with baby corn snakes and baby pythons and all these things. This thing is a shoelace with a weird nose. I came home yesterday and it was all the way in its water bowl with its head under the water, and my stomach dropped out of my ass. I thought I killed the snake already.
Yeah, they're weird, dude. They're weird critters. That's awesome.
So, yeah, that's the update for now.
Awesome. Alex, what are we up to?
Me, I've just been working my normal 9-to-5 job, and then I got a couple pairs going right now, so I've had a couple locks, which has been pretty exciting. So excited to see if I get anything from that.
Nice.
That's awesome. Nothing too new.
JT, what about you? What's the Silent Hill Farms looking like?
I'm still getting back in the swing of taking care of animals. I guess if none of the listeners know, I had like a near fatal accident back in August, I guess it was.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Piece of glass like cut my arm, and taking care of babies was a hassle after that, because it was 3 to 4 times longer taking care of all the babies I had left, which was like about 100 or so. But then you could only do so much at any certain time because of the blood loss. Like, you just get lightheaded and you don't want to like pass out while you're taking care of babies and stuff.
No,
so
definitely no.
Taking care of the like 100 babies was like a 3 or 4 day task for me. So I'm like just getting into the swing of like taking care of the animals, getting time off in between taking care of the animals. Like, you feed them one day and then clean up poop another day. So it's nice to get back into the normal swing of tending to everybody. For breeding, I've got one girl that's already had a pre-lay shed, another one that's in blue right now, and I think like 10 other pairs of locks so far.
Awesome.
And I've got 1 or 2 more still to go.
Nice.
So putting on roughly about 200 babies this year.
Woo! Yeah, I was gonna do like 100 babies this year, and then I counted my pairs, and I'm gonna do the thing again where I regret everything I've ever done. But yeah, I'm kind of a similar scenario. Everything came out of brumation about a week ago for me. I brumate with John. A lot of our Montane Mexicana stuff we keep cold and low for quite a while. So some of that is just now coming up. I just did first meals on all my big pines and king snakes, and so I'm excited to start pairing. I had a nothing as harrowing as JT what happened, but we lost my dog in January. It was pretty hard. He was my homie for about 13 and a half years, and he was a good one. And I wasn't going to get another dog, and then John Lasseter, the old Lasseter connection, came over, and now I have an 8-week-old miniature Australian Shepherd that has joined the family. And the girls are in love with him, and that's what's important. And his name's Obi-Wan. So we're gonna see how he does. And he's a very different animal. So we're excited. But he's already been in the snake room, and he already helps me, and he sits and looks up at me while I'm playing with geckos and stuff. So yeah, I've already got I've got Heteronotia eggs on the ground this season. I've got Bauwangliensis, Goniosaurus Bauwangliensis eggs on the ground. I've got gravid Goniosaurus hyanensis should have eggs on the ground, maybe even by this weekend. So geckos are in full swing. I cooled them here. I think I have a few female corns because I don't cool them super low. That may also be grabbing, but we'll get into some of that. But yeah, okay. Well, kind of the first topic we're going to talk about is one of the things we find in this hobby is there's kind of that intro question. How do you do this, right? And I know that we've spent a little bit of time going over that, and maybe in our each individual scenarios said, hey, I breed corn snakes, I pair the boy with the girl. This is the time, the place. But I'd like to go over how each of us handles it, because I'm pretty sure that even in similar collection styles and maybe even similar species styles, we all do it a little differently. So I was going to hope everybody can throw in a little bit of time on that. Alex, JT, we're going to focus mostly on y'all being the guests. Alex, you wanna maybe talk about your process? I know you're the newest to breeding here.
Yeah.
So
I have very limited space, as you can see. You're pretty much in the extent of where my collection is.
Yeah.
So one of my friends actually brewmated two of my adults for me, and then when he took them out of brumation, brought them back up to me. After they both shed out, I put them together, and I had locks with them probably the first, I'd say probably first hour or two. And then after that, I've pretty much just been taking the male and female, separating them again, feeding them smaller meals, wait a couple days, put them back together. And I've gotten, I have 2 planned pairings right now, and I've gotten multiple locks from both them. So, yep.
when you're pairing, do you pair them in their enclosures, like put the male and the female with the male, or how do you go about that?
I have a separate bin that I use for them. It's a clean bin that I can. It's clear. What I usually do is clear that bin, clear a space so that honestly they kind of have a bit of privacy. Put them both in. It's got locking lids. I let the male just chase the female around, and it's a clean bin, so I can see if there's any evidence of if there was locks and if there wasn't, which is what I've done. Like I've put other pairings in there, no action, nothing whatsoever. So no evidence of any locks either. So
yeah, I do that with some of my species, especially the snakes that like to eat each other. Some of the Pitiophis and stuff like that, you just kind of can't, because they don't always necessarily instantly pair. But you'll get those sometimes you'll have sperm plugs. Sometimes with California king snakes, you'll have sperm everywhere. It's disgusting. But with corn, sometimes you'll even have, even if you use paper towels as like a base in there, you'll get a little bit of blood, a little bit of, for lack of a better word, proof of penetration, I suppose, is the correct terminology. So JT, when you're going about it, how do you? What's your go-to method?
Typically around mid-September is when I start clearing out the animals, and then I put them in brumation from October to beginning of December. All of December is typically feeding them up, and then like the second week of January is when I start pairing most of the time. This year, because of the injury, I was like a month behind schedule. Pairing them together, I use a clear tub like Alex does. Just throw them in there, and typically they're going to do one of two things. They're either going to poop everywhere, or they're going to go right to breeding and locking.
that is true.
Sometimes both.
Yeah. Don't you love it when they both just crap everywhere and then lock up and it's just a mess everywhere?
Then you got to clean off the animals before you put them away.
Yeah.
So I typically go for 3 locks, and then like after a lock, then I give them like a day or 2 break, and then pair them back together again.
Joe, how are you going about it?
So this year I actually did it a little bit differently than my normal. At my house, I've never been able to properly brumate before. I'm coastal California. It's pretty warm. Even in the dead of winter, it's still okay. I might get a few 40-degree nights, days in the 50s, but I don't really get, it's not consistent enough either, because we'll go from 40 degrees to 80 degrees day by day. But this year, since I moved the collection, where they are now, it actually, and because the winter's been colder, I was able to get them a bit colder this year. But normally I'm feeding them up pretty good up through the fall. And then because I'm not properly brewmating them, I never cut them off completely. The males will jump back to, they'll get a meal every 3 weeks or so. Females they'll still get cut back. I'm still feed cycling a little bit, just making it sparse instead of non-existent. So the females maybe every couple weeks, every 3 weeks. They're naturally light cycled, plus they're in the room with the gecko lights. I keep their hot spots on because their ambient was getting down below 50s this year. And so they've got I can't remember exactly what I've got the racks and the cages set at right now, but they've got their hot spots. And then I just let the natural ambient flow. When I go over there, I try to leave the doors and the windows open while I'm working, just to get some of the outside air pressure changes coming in. And once it starts warming up, I'll just pick a day. Okay, now I'm going to start feeding you guys regularly. Give them. This year I was doing more frequent, smaller meals instead of previously. I was just, okay, start hammering them with whatever size mice they were on before they went down. That's what you're getting right now. And still once a week now, as often as I can get over there, I'm throwing, still pretty small mice, almost hoppers, somewhere around there. And then once I've got them eating regularly again, and I see that they're moving constantly, hanging out at the front of their cage instead of the back, then I try to remember who all of my planned pairings were and pretend that they're going to work, and really wish that one wasn't also a male, because none of this is working, and constantly kicking myself for not popping them when I got them as babies, even though I'm one of the people, like, I'm not trying to be arrogant about it. I happen to be pretty fucking good at popping baby corn snakes. I know I can tell what they are, and I just didn't, because I would, the breeder sold it to me as this. That's obviously what it is. They've been doing it longer than me.
Yeah.
Even my wife is making fun of me as of yesterday. Like, better, and you've done this before. Why'd you do this again? So yeah, now I've got, one proven pair that they've gone before. I'm repeating her. A few others that I'm trying, and few proven to non-proven, just to prove that out. And then, yeah, I think this year is just proving out heads. So yeah, that's my main process, is just kind of gentle cooling, but not really a real brumation.
Yeah.
Light and food cycle, let the ambient drop. I'm trying to hit all the parameters as much as I can, instead of making sure that I get one exactly right and then hoping for the best with the rest. Yeah,
so it's kind of a jack of all trades, king of none, right? Like, you're not trying to brumate at 55 degrees for 4 months to get this perfect sperm production, but if you're hitting each of the parameters, hopefully one of those things is the trigger. I've kind of found, and we'll kind of talk about my collection with corn snakes. I know that brumation is a wide term, and I do a lot of my corn snakes with light, just naturally. The light is going to change. I have a big window in my room. I'm gonna sneeze, actually, guys. Excuse me.
You're still muted, Chris.
Yeah. So it was just like a lot of sneezes, and so anyways, I have a big window in the room, and so I do. There's a lot of light cycle change, and then I do a huge feeding reduction, and then I usually only cool my corns for a couple months, right? Like 2 months in the closet, maybe around 60 degrees, and it kind of seems to light them up. And so I did that with most of the corns this year. There was a couple corns I did that with last year that didn't breed, and I was a little bummed, because they were some of the pairs I was really anticipating, like, hey, these are really cool. And so what I have done for years, when I brumate corns at cold, which means they go to John's house, and my pines, I cohab them. So I'll put the male and the female together in a larger tub, a hide, water, kind of like a livable enclosure in all actuality. I use the similar tubs to what Alex has right behind him. And I will brumate them like that. They'll come out. Usually they'll either be in the shed, have just shed. I had quite a few snakes shed in brumation this year. I'll get them fed up, and then boom, start pairing. And it's been very successful. So this year, I did that with my buckskin okeetees and my Cleveland County, North Carolina locality corn snakes. So I had a pair from Chris Montross. They're the North Carolina foothills, and they are badass. They're like a mini corn snake. They're really small. They look almost like Miami Fays. And I had the most odd thing happen. John called me the day that he was bringing snakes over, and he was like, "Chris, I got real bad news, man. One of the corn snakes died." And I was all like, "Oh man, which one was it?" And he told me he's like, "It was one of the real pretty small ones." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, sometimes you lose snakes in brumation. It's a thing that happens, right? Like we can't completely control that. You lose snakes in your collection as it is, right? Like I have snakes die every once in a while. I have babies die every once in a while. It's part of the life cycle of having reptiles. We don't always know what's going on. So he brought it over and he was like, "Yeah, dude, this snake must have like just died. Like it's not smelly, it's still limp, it's not like hard or anything." He's like, "I don't think it died." He's like, "Usually when they die in brumation, they're real desiccated, they're real stiff." It's like, okay, weird. And then we pull the snake out and look at it, and about 6 or 7 inches of the snake is just absolutely crushed. And what had happened, and you could see down the snake where it was crushed, the male, I don't know why, constricted and started eating the female.
Damn.
And must have regurged her because he was way, way, way smaller than her. And you could see where the head was all crushed after having been swallowed. And you could see teeth marks down the scales. You could see like a little cut on the bottom next to the ventral scales. So what a weird thing. What a weird thing happened. I was pissed. I've never heard of that happening. Never, ever.
So weird.
So just a weird happenstance, something to be cautious of. I've never had a question in my mind about brumating, cohabbing in brumation. Never.
Yeah.
What were you say, Jeff?
I was going to say, JT, don't you brumate pairs together?
So I did 1 year, and then I decided not to breed that following year, and like 75% of them ended up laying eggs. Yeah. So I guess they got a little busy during brumation,
which is like a thing they'll do.
Warmer day, they went and cycled.
My Chinese beauty snakes would always breed in brumation, and they would, female would come out a month or so and have her pre-lay shed and lay. So here's the other thing that's really interesting about those North Carolina foothill corns. Since the day I got them from Chris Montross, they've been cohabbed. So answer that. He cohabs all of his corn. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to raise these guys. They've been in a V70 cohabbing for, they're 4 or 5 years old. They were, I got them as little babies. So what a weird world we live in, right? These snakes are they're wild. They're wild. But yeah, so that was a thing. Where do we want to go with this? So you guys were saying that you like to see 2 to 3 locks. I think JT, you said specifically 3 locks, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I tried for 3.
Yeah. So about how long after locks do y'all start seeing a female's grab it and start anticipating that prelay shit? I've kind of always wondered this. Like, what do y'all see happening, Alex?
JT, because I texted him this question the other day.
So typically I record all my locks just so I know like who's the father of the clutch. I don't play the who's your daddy game. I have all my clutches planned out like pretty much in the fall when I put stuff into brumation. So I get locks, record it, and then typically right about 45 days is when I'll get eggs. Of course, they're going to go through like the pre-lay shed, and then typically for me, it's 2 weeks after the pre-lay shed is when they start dropping eggs. I've heard some people say it's like 7 to 10 days, but for me in this climate, it's 2 weeks normally.
I think that has a lot to do with the temperature you keep them at as a non-scientist. I think that it's like 13 days in my house. Like for some reason, like most of them are 13 days after pre-lay shed. I don't know. I keep everything at 80 degrees, so I don't really go much higher than that. Yeah.
I think last year I got mine at like 10 or 11 days.
Yeah. I've had one drop almost exact. I think it was 7 or 8 days after prelay.
Oh, wow.
And then everything else has been around 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks is a pretty honest number.
Yeah.
So, Joe, are you kind of seeing similar things as far as about 45 days after copulation, starting to see?
I've been closer to 60, actually. I got 50 for one of them, like 58 for another one. And then maybe the first one, I have notes on all of this, and they're all in the other room right now. But yeah, I've gotten a range. I'm anxious to see. I've got my first repeat female going this year. Actually, same dam and sire are the same. So I'm curious to see if all of my times still line up. If they're consistent, cool. I'm going to be able to just know what they're doing. That's dumb. They're never going to be predictable for me, but it'll be interesting to see at least what my times for everybody are, because this year everybody's pairing on the same day, and I'm not using. Occasionally, I'll have one male that'll go to multiple females, but he gets, a few days off in between them.
Sure.
And this year he's only going to one female, so all of them are going to be roughly the same time, assuming that they all lock on the same days, which who knows. But yeah, I just pretty much after I know that they've locked, I will I'll put them both back in their own enclosures, and she gets a lay box immediately. I just leave it in there. Little whatever to-go container I decide to use this time around. Cut a hole in it, fill it with damp sphagnum, and just some of them I leave them in there just as a human hide anyway, and that just goes into their lay box.
Mine have lay boxes all the time.
Right.
Yeah. I don't do that because I don't like seeing mold on my aspen. For some reason, we're so damn humid. Huge shout out to Corpus Christi. Tomorrow morning is going to be about 60 degrees. Tomorrow afternoon, we should be hitting 100 again, baby. Let's go.
Gross.
It's supposed to be high 90s tomorrow, potentially 100. So, yeah, the humidity is so high here that I think somebody just yelled my name. It's probably somebody got hit by a car or something normal. But, yeah, so it's so humid here that I can't leave the lay boxes in year-round. What I'll do with a lot of my species, especially my Montane Kings, is I will or Mexicana Kings, excuse me. I'll leave the lay box in, but I'll let it dry out completely. And then, maybe if I notice they're going into shed, maybe if I notice, hey, their water bowl maybe went dry that day or something, which doesn't happen very often, I'll squirt a little bit of water in there and try to not. I can't have it damp all the time because it'll definitely mold over. One thing that's kind of interesting and I kind of wanted to point out on this conversation, I think if we made a triangle, these are like the three of the corners of the United States of America, right? You got JT and Alex up in Pennsylvania. You have Joe way over on the West Coast, on the coast, right? Like very close, which is interesting because you're much less humid than I am, even though you're close to the coast. And then me down in the actual the good old butthole of Satan down here in Corpus. So we very different climates, and I'll kind of chip in on the. I see about 50 days, close to that 40 to 50 days for that prelay shed to happen after copulation. So I think you'll kind of notice maybe even different lay box setups, maybe different attentiveness. Alex talking about keeping that lay box in there. You don't have any issues doing that. In fact, it probably gives them. They have great sheds. Joe talked about when he adds that in and you just leave it in there, and then me here kind of having to be a little more trepidatious about leaving it in there. So it's one thing that people need to keep in mind as they listen to these podcasts and you start reading books and stuff. Everybody, you're trying to create a goal, but there's not really a perfect rubric as to how. Did y'all hear that? Like y'all heard that, right? Like it's definitely I have animals. Sorry. But there's not necessarily a rubric that you get to follow. We know that there's parameters we're trying to reach. We know that we want to create a humid location for our females to feel comfortable laying eggs. We know that there's kind of a timeline between copulation and going into pre-lay shed that a female's going to have. We know that some spark in brumation, whether it's light, temperature, and feeding timelines, right? Like reduced light, slightly lower temps, and extended periods in between feeding, or just hard brumations like JT's talking about and Alex. They're all of these things work. Now, you will find that with certain species outside of corns, that's not the case, right? You don't get to do that. I think that if you were in a really hot, wet location like I am here, and you didn't have a way to dry out your snakes and didn't have a way to give them a really deep, long, dry brumation like we're lucky enough to have with my Alterna, you probably wouldn't be breeding Alterna, right? Like these aren't snakes. That's one of the kind of wonderful things about corn snakes is you kind of find they're much more palatable for people to pick up and just go with. Why they're so popular in the hobby. They're easy to get going. They're easy to breed. We say easy. I don't always think it's that easy. I think sometimes it's like easy. Right. It's like stressful. It's unnecessarily stressful sometimes.
Yeah. While we do it to ourselves.
Yeah. Like I have one female that it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what her egg box looks like. It doesn't matter what temp she's at. She lays the damn eggs in the aspen. I don't know. I bet JT's
not in the water bowl.
Yeah, at least it's not in the water bowl. Oh, that's the other thing. When a female goes to pre-lay shed, that water bowl is coming out.
Yes.
If they go a long time, I've had snakes go 21, 22 days before laying. I will usually give them water for like a day or half a day or something and kind of keep an eye on them. But it is the last thing you want is for a snake to lay their eggs in a damn water bowl.
That's a lot of times I got scared of that. So I switched from using, kind of a nice wide water bowl to like a little half-size jam jar, almost like a mason jar, but the little stubby guys.
Yeah.
So even if they decide to lay in there, they're only getting 3 eggs in the damn thing. Everything else.
Yeah, I use little glass tea light like candle holders. So they're just like the size of a quarter, like little tiny things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to remind myself. I have a lot of my corns in an ARS rack, and I have the tubs with the little holders in them. And funny thing about that is it's really cool to fill those up with water when there's not a cup in them. That's sweet. And you're going to do that like 12 times a day. That's great. I don't know why I do stuff like that. But yeah, like I keep wondering if they're going to try to lay their eggs in there, or if I could like use that and put something over it, like a portion cup. Alex knows what I'm talking about from the restaurant industry. You have those little thick portion cup lids. I wonder if I could put one of those and they'll like fit perfectly on it and cut a hole in it, and that could be their little. It'd be kind of cool. Put some damp sphagnum in there or something. That's actually a question I want to ask y'all because we're talking about breeding corns. We'll start with Joe and we'll go around. Joe, what do you use as a substrate for your snakes to lay eggs on?
I can't remember what I did the first year, but everything since then has just been damp spag, and everybody's loved it so far. That has to have been what I did the first year too. Again, written down somewhere, but it was a long time ago. But yeah, I do it there, and then now I just incubate in that same container, assuming it's not coming over the top. I have 2 lids, one with the hole for the snake to get in, and then one with the tiny holes that I leave in it while it's incubating. And so once she's done, swap the lids and in the incubator.
That's pretty damn smart. It's
worked out.
Smart.
It's worked out pretty good. And then going and, I just kind of finger check the moisture level of the spag every once in a while. And it's worked out really well so far. Because I fucking hate vermiculite, and perlite I'm okay with.
Perlite's good.
And I did hatchite once.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
I did it for the geckos.
Yeah.
And maybe for that first year with the corns. And I don't mind it for the geckos. I put them on the little the light diffuser. And then we'll never make the mistake of thinking that wooden toothpicks were a good plan in that, because I'm a jackass and they just soak up the moisture and mold. I don't know why I didn't think of that. All the eggs ended up fine. I switched to like little plastic sticks or something. But But yeah, like the hatchite's fine. The perlite's okay. I just prefer like that snag just works. I think I read it in, either Soderbergh or Kathy Love's book sometime when I was, 5-6 years old or something. And
Yeah.
like, oh, you do that? I want to try that. And it's worked ever since.
Nice. Also, it's once the snakes hatch, they're probably a lot happier than just sitting on perlite and just, like hitting rocks with their face and stuff. They can actually burrow under. I guess you could actually probably keep them in there until they shed.
Thought about it, but all that egg goo and everything, I just didn't want to. Like, there's a lot of albumin just flopping around in there. The only problem with it is if you forget how many eggs there were.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not all hatching at the same time. And every once in a while, me and the kid will go in and check, like, okay, there's that one's slit, but it's still in there. That one's empty. That one's empty. That one's empty. So we have to find at least 3. Why are there 5? Fuck, what am I missing? So
or you'll be like me, who somehow has twins every year, and it's like, I've got 14 eggs, I've got 15 snakes. I don't know how this works.
Haven't done it yet. I'm waiting for it.
I don't know why. And different clutches. 2 of the years I have pictures of the twins coming out. Last year, my twins were king snakes, California king snakes. I just had like an extra king snake there. It was born. One of them was born real deformed. It looked like a bulldog, and it sucks because it was the first one to eat. And I was like, oh man, I got a pug California king snake. But it's got a home. It went on to somebody, and I wish I would have had their phone number or something. It was a young lady at a reptile show, and I gave it to her. I wish I had her number because I want to update pics on it. It was full snub nose, just absolutely squished and had these big eyes.
Did it look like an apodora, like where they've got kind of a bulldog snake face, or was it just like? Yeah,
it looked like
hit a wall and stayed that way.
It hit a wall and stayed that way. Yeah. Like its mouth, like its jaw was even short. Like it was just all. It looked like a pug. It was
okay.
I got pictures of it somewhere. If I don't know if I could pull it up efficiently, but I would add it to the thing.
Right.
But this brings up a great point. So Alex, what are you using for a substrate for your females to lay on, and what are you using to incubate with?
So I also use just damp moss, and I set up a whole leftover container with a hole cut into it for the lay box. Last year for my one and only clutch that I had, the female did not use that. She laid on her actual substrate, which was fine because it's a mix of Eco Earth, like cocoa fiber and cypress mulch, so it locks humidity really well. I humid like the vivarium, like electric black humid hides.
Yeah.
So she was fine laying on that. I was just like, of course you didn't use the actual lay box. But I found her laying, waited the full day. She laid perfect clutch. And then I used the same method for incubation that JT does. So it's a perlite, right?
Yeah.
Wet perlite, light diffuser in a little box. There's some holes for ventilation, not very big. And then I keep a heat mat right underneath it, and I have a rack that's like just right at the window so that it got the natural light too and some heat. So it was funny because the clutch last year, when I saw the first slit, I was like, all right, cool, and they're hatching. And I texted JT, he's like, cool, this will be the longest week of your life. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, they're not all going to come out on the same day. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was just like, oh, there's another slit. It's a long process. It's like 6 days. And I was like, all right, they're all out finally.
Isn't that a pain in the ass?
Dude, it was the longest time, but I was so excited.
Yeah. Sometimes you could see the progression through the tub. If it has a slight half a degree temperature, they'll progress through the tub, which ones hatch first.
Yeah, mine was in a ring, and then I had 2 little off to the side, and it was just literally watching. It's all right, this one, now it's this one, now it's this, and it just in a little pattern. I was like, it's the one in the middle should have been incubated because it was surrounded, but no, it didn't. That hatched last.
Yeah. Or you get the one that just pokes his nose out, and you're like, oh, that looks like exactly the morph I was trying to hit. I did it. I hit the thing. And then you're just you kind of crack open the thing and look at it, and it goes, ah! And you're like, oh, yeah, awesome. That's
Yeah.
So JT, is that kind of answering similar to your question? You're doing the same thing. What are your females laying on?
Kind of similar. So back to what Joe was talking about, keeping notes on everything. You can see trends on when like a certain female might go, because some females they go later than others. It's good to know that, because I was freaking out like a couple weeks ago. I was like, this girl hasn't bred yet, and then I looked at my records, and she was like June last year when she started to breed.
Oh damn!
So it's good to know and like good reassurance. And then I can also see like in my room, like every foot of elevation in the room is like another degree of temperature. So the girls at like the highest point in the room are going to cycle before the girls at the lowest point in the room.
Okay.
And there's typically a month difference between when they cycle. And they've
wow.
all woken up at a brumation at the same time.
That's pretty interesting. That's neat.
So for the lay box, I just do like a little tub with damp sphagnum moss in it, hole cut in the top of the tub. When she lays, I pull the whole clutch out, count them, like mark the loose ones. They go into a 6-quart tub with, I think the ratio is 3-2 of perlite and water is what I found works the best for me. And then the light diffuser on top. I have no holes in the tub. And then I just put a little clump of damp sphagnum moss on top of the eggs.
That's right, yeah.
In case there's water that drips from the lid onto the eggs. You don't want it to kill the eggs. So then the sphagnum moss like kind of diffuses it and like gets the whole clump humid.
I forgot about that. I did do that per your suggestion last year, where I put sphagnum moss all over the incubation tub.
Yeah. So kind of a similar thing that I've done with geckos in the past. I use talking about geckos on this. I'd use bento boxes from like whatever Walmart or Target or whatever, and so I'll get 1-to-1 perlite to water, and I'll put it on the big side, I guess, and then in one of it's the ones that have the two different container areas. I don't know, the little dividers. On one little one, I'll fill it with about a ½ inch of water, and then the other one, I'll stack it full of paper towels so that I make sure that it's kind of touching the lid and going over it. And so it uses capillary action as the humidity or as the condensation is on the top. And I don't put any holes in it because those aren't like super tight sealing boxes, the ones I use. As the water collects on the lid, the paper towels the capillary action of the paper towels will draw the water down to that side. And I've found that because I don't have paper towels on the other side, the area with the water will almost always keep that same amount of water collected. And so now I don't want to put that much humidity on my snake eggs with and this is actually how I brumate Leachianus eggs. Specifically, Leachianus eggs can be a little bit tougher, and they also take 130, 140 days to hatch. So nice. you've got to like maintain them. I just got a message through my thing. Did one of y'all just text me something?
I don't think so. I didn't, at least.
Nope.
I'm getting
when
updates
I stepped out, just in case. Did you guys talk about whether or not you separate your eggs, or do you leave them in the clump, however they laid?
I clump. I leave them in a clump, unless I got loose eggs. Yeah, I've had my kids dropped a whole clutch of eggs. Every damn one of them hatched. I've heard of people juggling them and putting them back in. I understand people that pull them all apart and mark them and draw superhero symbols on them and squiggly lines and stuff. I know Snake Discovery does something like that. I get it. Like, I mean, you probably, if I hatch 1,000 eggs, maybe I'll lose 2 or something to something like that. I think a lot of times if a snake's going to hatch, it's going to hatch. I do. So I'll go a little bit into my method. I've kind of gone through a little bit of everything. I don't know if I'm at 10, 11, 12 years. I don't know how many years for just breeding snakes, but I've used Eco Earth for the females to lay on. I cannot say enough times to not do that. It's a mess. The snake is a mess. The eggs are a mess. It does work though. I don't know if the females like it. God, it's a wreck when they do that. Especially because they kind of dig out the lay box and then it's all over the aspen and then it's in the water somehow and somehow it gets in the tub next to them. But now I've been using so again I use these biodegradable to-go boxes. You get them on Amazon. They're not expensive. The ones I use are 9x6 by 3 or 4 inches. And I cut a hole on the top, and I fill the bottom layer with dry, pick your favorite cocoa thing, right? Like whatever the large chunk coconut things are. And then I put this damp sphagnum on top. And the reason I'm doing that is again, because my humidity is so high, I'm trying to maintain the humidity in that box while drawing any of the dampness down so I don't get too much mold. I don't see a lot of mold when I do it that way. But I try to fill that whole box with sphagnum, right? Like I want the female to have to kind of nest into there. And I've kind of realized that a very small hole is much more enticing to a female than like a big hole. Have y'all kind of seen something like that? Like,
yeah, because nothing's coming after them.
Yeah, like the female feels so much more secure when it's like exactly the size to get inside. And then so I'll do that, and then I incubate perlite and water I use the meal prep black with clear top tubs. I do that for a couple reasons. One, it scratches my ADD well that everything goes in the exact same size tub. Also, I dispose of everything every year. That's probably terrible. I recycle it. I use the biodegradable stuff so it can go in a compost heap. I use the recyclable plastic tubs. I don't save anything. Everything is thrown away. But I put 4 little holes. I do the tape method. So I have 4 tiny holes. They get tape put on them. I do perlite. It's like, I try not to be too specific on it, but it's like 85 grams of perlite to 85 grams of water. It's 1-to-1, but it's a smaller amount of perlite than you might think. The water usually drains to the bottom because I'll pre-set up all my egg boxes. And then I put the eggs right on top. I do use, for different species, I use light diffusers. Joe, my trick there, I don't know if you remember, but you get the plastic golf tees off of Amazon. They don't soak the water up because I did.
That's what I switched to after you made fun of me.
Yeah, I used toothpicks one year. I was like, it's not. It turns out they instantly mold. But I do that at 45 days. I pull the tape off. I do incubate everything in a Sea Serpent's hot box, so my incubator is like extremely stable. So by doing that, I have had like pretty consistent lay or hatch rates. The last couple of years, I think I've been very close to 100%, especially for corn snakes. Some of the Montane Mexicana, some of the drier pines, everything's a little different, and I'm still experimenting with some things. I've had some of my pine snakes I've had lower hatch rates with. Alterna are still the hardest snake to hatch. Worst thing about Alterna, I'm just going to rant about, not the worst thing about Alterna is they'll hatch, they'll stick their head out, and if you spook them and they put their head back in the egg, that is a dead snake. You need to cut it out immediately. I don't know why they do that, but Alterna love killing themselves. They're really smart snakes, I think, but they do some really dumb stuff. Anyways, so I think we are going to go through and share some pictures. Anybody that's listening to this, we'll try to describe our snakes as best we can. Yes. But I think Alex and JT have sent some pictures. I'm going to try to. This is Obi. We were talking about Obi earlier, so I have pictures of him. He is the cutest dog. He's quite a little fluff muffin. But let's see here. I pressed the wrong button, guys.
Oh, good.
Okay. Oh, yep. Are we still? Everybody still there?
Still here.
We're here.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Hey, there's some snakes.
There's going to be a bunch of snakes. We're going to go through. And
so just for the people who can't see them, they're scaly. Some have saddles. They're about 3 feet long. So there's what you're missing. Sorry.
They have eyes. It is kind of one of the weirdest things about them. Anyway, so before we get started going through pictures, I've got to step and my beer is further away from me today, so I've got to go grab one. But JT, Alex, why don't y'all talk about what is your thought process going into pairings? Is there a lot of thought going in, or is it planned the year before? Let's talk about where our mindset is before we start pairing anything.
Well, first I want a little bit of table filler. That's going to be like a Mel's, Snows, So they're just basic clutches that sell really great at shows. So I try and do like 2 or 3 of those every year, just because nobody's going to want like a more expensive snake a lot of times as their first animal.
Right.
They go for like sub $150 snakes most of the time. So it's great to have. And my first snake was Justin Amell, and he's one of my best breeders too. He'll be in the reel here in a second. Then I got project animals that I've been working on this project for like a couple years, or trying to improve the looks of something just to bring it out even more, or like combine things. And then there's like 1 or 2 projects that are just like the start of a project, and you're going to get a lot of like normals or mixing hets to see what you get out of it, or testing hets.
Yeah, that's. I'm glad that you deliberately do table filler, by the way. I think that's actually pretty important, because you get people to your table, they get excited about a snake to begin with, and then they're going to see something else on your table that they're like, ooh. Once
It's
I get
really
good with this,
important.
there's a
Like,
goal.
I run out of the table filler stuff more than the other stuff.
Nice.
I mean, it just goes so much quicker.
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of first snakes, and a lot of you know what I mean. People that just didn't know they wanted a snake. Yeah, a lot of that stuff is
Pets. Yeah.
And what were you say, Alex?
So a lot of the pairings that I try to do are mostly passion projects. I picked up a project off of a breeder this year. It's from Steve Roylance's lines. So they're he dubbed them as orange things. They're 2 hypos that are just really, really orange, like in their ground and saddle colors. I've asked him about it. He says it's a bit different from buff. It's more similar to Castagna or Sunrise that he's noticed. But he had originally in that pairing, he had Cinder, which I don't see in either of the adults. So I'm taking that male back to its sibling, and then I'm also outcrossing it to a Amel White Hatch. Both of the siblings are het for Amel, so I'm trying to see what the difference will be between having the male go to its sibling and repeat that pairing, and then compare it to outcrossing to a different Amel that should produce similar animals if it is allelic with Castagna or Sunrise. I'm going to get some variation of that in that second clutch.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see exactly what will pop out.
Yeah. There's kind of a process for me as well. I kind of realized last year I had a lot of corns I could breed, and I didn't. I think what was it, 2 years ago, when I sent all y'all a bunch of snakes. Alex, I think I sent you a whole clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
minus like 2.
Yeah, I kind of stopped and was like, oh man, I could just breed everything. And then I was like, I have 230 babies. I don't know what to do. Somebody accepts it.
Hard not to.
Yeah, I sent Joe a whole bunch. And honestly, that year I produced some amazing stuff. And it was a lot of stuff I should have held on to because I dictate my projects, my pairings every year based on things that I want to see come out.
Yeah.
I think I've got a little bit of understanding now. I haven't been selling snakes for nearly as long as I've been selling geckos. Geckos are totally different. If I pair the best 2 red stripe gargoyles together, I'm going to get 30% the best red stripes you've ever seen, and 70%, maybe 50% that are okay, and the last 20% are just like table filler, $50 geckos. There's nothing you could do about it. And because you're dealing with a lot of polygenics there, right? You're dealing with line breeding. Corn snakes are very different. And I think what I did initially was I produced a whole bunch, and then I freaked out because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to feed all these babies. And I should have held on to a lot of those a little longer. I don't even know, Alex. Do you still have that? It was the caramel, sun-kissed, diffused, cinder, mask. It was like. Do you still have that one?
I got him right over here. He's right next to his brother. I kept him, and I kept a cinder caramel blood red.
Okay. Some of those were really cool. Some of the and like I kind of stopped. I produced a couple shatters last year, and I didn't keep them. I should have kept them, and so I'm starting to regret a little bit of like these are projects where I want to see what comes out, and that I'm not holding on to the things that I'm producing that I'm excited about. Now that's not completely true when it comes to some of the locality stuff. And that's not completely true when it comes to especially like my little yellowhead project that I've been talking about since I started doing podcasts, which we're going to get to see a little bit of the where that's at now. But yeah, it's so much. And the thing that kills me doesn't kill me. The thing that's tough on snakes is you get to do it once, right? You don't. It's not like a gecko that I could pair them for a couple months with one male and a female, and I see what they produce. Then I'll pair up the next, and then they, maybe they get a little break from. I usually do a break from November to January, and then I pair them back up. And I'm all right. Well, what are these going to produce? With snakes, it's like you get to pair them once, you get one clutch. Sometimes you get the double clutch, but you don't get to use multiple males with a female. And then you always find out there's some damn het in there that you didn't want. That's what happened when I paired my. I have a killer reverse Okati female. And I paired her into an Ultramel Tessera. My goal with that was to sell the Tesseras and just keep the best Ultramels that I produced. And I produced one damn Ultramel male because it turned out she was also het Motley. She was also het Anery. And by being het Motley and het Anery means you're not getting any of that Okati influence with the Motleys. The second it's Anery, you're going to get a bunch of snows, which snows are beautiful. And the fact that I went to an Ultramel means I got Snowtramels. so I got one male, and he was, and then of course, JT, what happens when you produce the best ones? It don't eat. Yeah. It's the one snake in the clutch that doesn't eat. And he did. Now he's good now. He's crushing it now, and he's starting to look really pretty. I should have taken a picture to post, but anyways, Joe, what you go through a similar thought process there?
I already lost track because I was trying to remind people that maybe stop yelling. Usually, so for part of it, I'll have long-term projects. I've got a couple things that, you're homozygous for this, you're heterozygous for this. I know what I want to make with you eventually. So, a couple of years ago, I started a whiteout project, but I started it with a fire male, and he's like Posset Caramel. Cool. Set that aside.
Yeah.
I've got a pewter female, unknown heads. And so pair them together. Actually, two pewter females. Paired them all together. Kept a trio. One of the females is going to end up being one of the most beautiful blood reds I've ever seen. Her sides are completely washed out, diffused, and the red's creeping all the way almost to her spine. She's fantastic. Best eater out of the clutch. Luckily, it's the first time I've ever picked a holdback that was worth it, because normally I get in trouble. I'm not allowed to pick holdbacks for like 3 months in my house, because every time I do it, I'm reminded by my family, like, cool, you remember when you said that one was the best and now it's dead? Nice work, champ.
Yeah.
So,
we can't name things, so
right.
It gets a name, it dies.
Yeah.
Oh. So yeah, that's sort of a longer term project, because those things are, now they're all diffused, het charcoal, het amel, Posset Caramel. I might get a whiteout or two out of them eventually, but I'm also going to get some other weird shit, hopefully. I made the mistake of, entering everything onto that little calculator on Morph Market.
Yeah.
Cool, there's 16 possibilities here, because one of them, the sire was also mask, and so there's all this stuff. And then other things are, I'm trying to think of what's going this year. Honestly, this year, a lot of it is trying to prove out hets, just to see what I have, so I know for sure. Eventually, I'll make anything with diffused. Like, if they're both diffused, I don't care what the rest of it is, they're going together.
Diffused is so good.
Yeah, I love it. I have a few things that are not diffused now, but they're not ready to go. Most of them came from Chris trying to convince me that I actually like Tessera and Ultramel.
Isn't it? Is it? Aren't Ultramel Tessera so damn good though?
Dude, that one you sent me is still like, what the fuck? How is that snake so pretty?
Yeah.
If you just showed me a Tessera like wild type, normal type,
Yeah.
the snake's ugly as shit. That's personal opinion. Everybody's got their own personal opinions, but you're all wrong. Ugly snakes. The Ultramel, pretty cool. The one you sent me is just the biggest dickhead snake I've ever owned. But the Ultramel Tessera together, holy shit, that thing's gorgeous. I can't wait to make babies with that thing.
It's a
to have it make babies with another snake, rather. But yeah, this year is mainly just proving out heads, and then my Pied Blood Red project is finally taking off, because even though my prize female turned out to be male, I happen to have another female that's still pretty good, so we'll see what they make and go from there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I wanted to pull up a picture, and I don't see one immediately, of a wild type Tessera that's an ugly piece of shit snake. So I can make sure everybody knew you were wrong when you said that. My Ladies Island Tessera, the little project me and Justin did, where we put the Tessera female into the Ladies Island male, into the wild caught male. That snake is insane. It's absolutely just the weirdest looking snake. I don't know why the wild caught genes into the Tessera blew it out so much, but it doesn't have nearly a standard. It almost looks like a Sunkissed Tessera, the way the pattern works. It's really weird. But
I love Sunkissed Tesseras. It just does something weird to the pattern.
Yeah, it's so great. I think this. We are probably going to have, you know what I mean, like technological difficulties.
It's that button right there.
It's that button right there. Okay. Anyways, I will go kind of quick through some of my stuff, because I think a lot of what I'm doing and working with is very similar to what I had already been in the past. So one of the projects, I've got a few projects I'm not going to talk too much about, because some of it's going to be similar to what JT is going to be talking about. So this snake right here, this one that I have is from Tony Dungara, and this is actually came to me from Jake Bratz. He got a pair of these and raised them up. This is a buckskin Okatee. And the male in this pair is much heavier black. She has a lot more black, but he has less of this buckskin color. So I'm really excited to see what this pair throws, because this female is almost on the edge of not calling her an Okatee. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, she doesn't have those thick borders. The borders kind of do what you want to see an Okatee do, especially with kind of on the sides here. You can see that kind of black tipping on the red that's coming up. Kind of looks like little fires. But oh man, I pressed the wrong button. Okay. See, y'all are seeing something different than I'm seeing, and I'm not used to doing this, so y'all got to bear with Chris. I'm 40 in 1 week, guys. 1 week 40. So y'all are lucky that I figured out the internet. So I'm just really excited for these. I'm gonna make a bunch of Okatees, man. Like, it's gonna be a great clutch. This girl has that perfect buckskin color. It's an old school line, so that's just gonna be fun. I'm doing some pink stuff, so the pictures are a little bit out of order. This is a Salmon Snow JMG line Salmon Snow het strawberry, I think, on this one, and he's going to Princess, which is my daughter's snake. So Lily picked out Princess. I'm just skipping through pictures because I'm a dirtbag. Well, I don't know where that picture's at, so we're just going to look at other snakes. Anyways, he's going to a Motley Snow. That's really pretty, and she's very white, and I know that. Oh man, I don't know how to share pictures right. I feel so stupid. Anyway, she's great, and so I'm excited for him to go to her. That's going to be Lily's little project. I'm still continuing on this yellowhead project. So this is my male. I had this male quite a while ago, and he's the one I raised up, and he has this kind of like buff look to him. I'm not sure. According to everybody I've talked to, this is buff, right? So this is a buff anery stripe. The cool thing that happened was his daughter looks like this, and this is a tough snake to capture pictures of, but she's got this really deep, almost orange yellow. It goes all the way down her body. And so they have been producing snakes like this. So they're both at hypo. So this is a ghost. So this was the ghost buff. This snake's I think a 2-year-old right here, and he is kind of the best one that I had. So I'm trying to get these colorations out of this boy so that and this snake is much more yellow than he was. It really just takes time to see it. So as this snake ages, I'm going to get a lot of that yellow, and I'm going to start deleting the black. But the kind of penultimate idea on this project was to get the ultramel, stripe, anery, possibly hypo, which at this point is kind of difficult to see. And so this is a yearling in that project, and that's kind of what I'm doing. Like that's what I'm going for specifically with this project. I don't know. That's really cool. That's a year-old snake, and you can just see all the yellow in its head. The yellow goes all the way down its body. It's a wild animal. So
I've got a couple snakes from that project.
Yeah.
And so one of them's an anery stripe.
Yeah.
Its face is turning yellow. Its nose is yellow. Like it looks like it dipped its nose in a little bit of, like a highlighter. And then it's just down its body, and it's probably more than halfway by now. He gets more yellow every shed. And, he's still got a distinct little stripe. It's not like a dark black Sharpie line, but it's still striped, and it's just so much of that yellow coming through. And
I think I have one from that project too.
I think you do.
So much yellow on it.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? And it's so weird.
Yellow as
they hatch and there's zero yellow, and then they go through like 1 or 2 sheds, and you kind of start seeing a little bit of it. And after the first or second shed, you could kind of really see it's kind of on the cheeks and a little bit on the neck right here. That's where a lot of the yellow shows up. And man, and like I said, at a little bit over here, I mean, you can even see where my finger is here, just wrapping around the whole snake is yellow on the whole side. So hopefully, what I want to be able to do is produce these pretty consistently. I would like to be able to produce stripe and ultramel. So it'd be snows and snow tramels or ultramel aneries. I want to do all stripes. I feel like with the stripe is where you get the most yellow, because with the albino, with the snow, with the normal pattern, you do get a lot of yellow, but you just see it so much more with the stripe for some reason. So it's
not being broken up by the saddles.
Yeah. It's a consistent yellow, and so that's been the goal on this. This was kind of the snake. This was the snake I was trying to produce. I kind of figured, you see a lot of those flamingo line ultramels and some of like the halo snows and stuff, and man, you get some killer critters. And so yeah, that was the goal. We hit it last year. I have only produced one and I also believe that this snake is hypo. Because I did produce snow tramels in this clutch that were not striped. But hopefully, and this is a girl, and I held back a female ghost as well. So this ghost is not the highest expression. That's a boy. And so this one's female. So that's going to be it's going to be really exciting. I hope to be able to I want to pair ultramel to ultramel because I want to see what the ultra version of it looks like also. Because sometimes with ultra in yellows, you get some really weird stuff. So I should be able to make AMLs, ultramels, and ultras. And then hopefully if I'm going stripe to stripe with nothing else going on, I'd kind of definitively be able to pick out which ones are ultras and which ones are ultramels. So anyways, the rant of an old man. But yeah, super excited about that project. And here is an ultramel testera. This is one of the first snakes I produced, and I've never bred her. She's many years old. I think she's damn near 10 or 11 years old. And she's just pretty, just a pretty one. Anyways, I will go. I think JT, Alex, you want to go first, or JT, you want to go first?
You can, Alex.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, let Alex go first so that JT can make all of us feel bad at the same time.
JT has vastly way more snake pictures than I do.
I'm going to look at this chat real quick and make sure I have all of the pictures I'm supposed to. Let's see here. 1, 2. Yes, you sent me 4 pictures. I have 4 pictures. All right. Yeah, go ahead, man. What are we looking at?
All right. So that female I got from Jeff Bong at Cascade Corns. It's an AML white hatch. He had bred her already, but this he said for this coming season he didn't have plans for her. So I picked her up to put into just different projects. I wanted to work with the white hatch because it should be similar to the Castania or Sunrise gene. I'm not sure exactly which one it is. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Sunrise. But since it's all allelic, I wanted to try to put it into some new projects, and then also with the other pair that I had gotten, I wanted to cross over the orange things from Roy Lance's line. I got locks on them, so I'm excited to see what pops out from her.
So is that going to be the next couple pictures we look at?
Yep. So the next two should be the hypo orange things. This one is the female. I finally figured out, because they look so similar, which one was the male, which one was the female. Because when I got them together, they were just shipped in the box together. I was like, I'm not sure, and I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out eventually. So this one's the female. She has she doesn't have as much black in her saddles. You can see that deep orange color, especially running down the line of the back of her.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I got her with her brother, which is the next picture. Both of them are hypo and both are het amel. So you see he's got a little bit more black in the saddles, just along the borders. Both really strong. They're babies. I purchased them as a pair and the clutch that was produced last season.
Nice.
All the babies are flighty. They're strong. They're full of piss and vinegar. The adults are the same way. Like, I take them out and they're just wriggling, but they're all muscle. So he has already locked with his sibling and that amel white hatch. I got 2 locks on each of those girls. So I'm excited to see. I'm hoping that the normals with the amel white hatch, I'm gonna probably get normals. I don't think there's gonna be any hypo running in there. Both of those are homozygous hypo.
Okay.
But with the amel white hatch, if there's no hypo, I'm just gonna get regular normals. I'm hoping that they'll have some sort of bumped up orange.
Yeah.
One of their siblings, or one of their offsprings, is the next picture right there.
That's awesome.
I upped the saturation on that a good bit. Sorry about that, but you can see that line. I wanted to highlight that line running down the back of them right there. They're really nice in person.
You can really see that. It really looks.
That's
almost
really interesting.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that the normals. I'm trying to see if the normals that I get from the amel white hatch will have something similar to that. I will also get amel versions, so I'm trying to see if I'll get anything with a red factor on it or something that's going to up. I'm trying to see which one's going to be more dominant. Is it going to be the red or is it going to be orange? So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what pops out. Yeah, those things are awesome. Again, full of piss and vinegar.
Yeah, I think I like. You said this is the female, right?
That's the female right there.
I kind of like the female a little more than the male, but I do like how light that male is. That's going to be a cool albino. Yeah, that'll make a really cool albino.
Yeah, when they were put together, I was like, I couldn't tell, but now I've really gotten good at picking both of them out when they're together. But yeah, their children are doing amazing. So I held back 2 amels from it.
Okay.
So I want to eventually put them together to get all amels, kind of refine the line on it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I'll have the parents as well. I'm also half in on this project with Rock Creek Corns.
Okay.
So he also has some of the offspring as well.
Yeah.
And he's who brewmated them for me.
And so outside of hypo and amel, the like you said, the orange thing, do we know if there's like a specific gene going on, or is it just a line bred?
So Steve Roylance said that it is something that is allelic with Castania and Sunrise. He's not quite sure. Last I heard, like, I've been trying to talk to him, like, hey, I'm not sure what I'm going to get from these.
Yeah.
He just knows that it's something different. I asked if there was buff in there. He said there's no buff, but his original pairing had like cinder and stripe in them, and then these are from, I think these are like F3s or something from that.
Yeah.
So this is like steps away from it.
That's a ton of orange, man.
It's a lot of orange to come
It's a
from
lot of orange.
from a
That's really
cinder
cool.
line.
Yeah.
That's just a little interesting to me. So
And you have no cinders popping out of this. There's no.
So the breeder that paired them last year,
Yeah.
he's only getting hypos and amos.
That's cool. I dig it.
Yeah.
That would man. I think you could do some really interesting things with that. I would love to see. I know this is kind of like counterintuitive, but in the future, you should pair it into an anery. Like, what does that even do? Right? Like,
So I was thinking about doing that while also adding in for diffuse. So I have two.
You said all the trigger words. We're there.
I have an avalanche male. He should be red factor, and I know that he's het pied as well. I want to put him. After this pairing of getting the orange things next season, if she's good to go again, which she might be because she's again just all muscle. I might put the avalanche in with her, or I'll wait probably 2 seasons. I have another strawberry avalanche that comes from SMR lines.
Okay.
So then I would be getting hypoberries, het for whatever orange thing is, anery, diffused. I'll get amels. It'll be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds super awesome. Or even taking it into if you got something, you know what, like a weirdo Carol Huddleston stuff, I do. Right? You have some of that stuff. Putting it into some of the Miami stuff and like kind of getting that boot keys look almost, but finding out what's going on. I think that'd be really neat. Here, this one's for Joe. Here's a super
wait to pair my weirdo.
Disgusting, ugly caca snake. There's caca snake. This is the Wildcott 2 Tessera. It's just disgusting. It's ugly. Nothing about the snake is good. Joe hates it. Anyways,
honestly, I'm finding parts that are all right. You've got. I'm pointing with my pen at the screen, like you guys can see what the fuck I'm pointing at.
It's cool. Really, it's got a really broken pattern. It has a lot of that like true corn snake feel to it. Maybe
a little bit down the neck. Right, you get them in between the saddles on, a brand new baby wild type. There's that really cool orange, the little like blushing spot, sort of like what the stripes on the last thing was made of.
Yeah,
and there's little touches of it, kind of. And again, I just pointed with my pen. What the fuck am I doing? It didn't work the first time. Come on, but there's like that little bit of orange bleeding into sort of the mahogany colors, and I do, I appreciate a corn snake's colors. This is giving me corn snake colors. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just the sides of a Tessera have always bugged me. You give me diffused Tessera, I'm all for it.
I kind of know what you're talking about. The thing I like about this snake is you kind of see about halfway down the snake, starting about here, is it's got this neat black tipping on the scales down the center, like an extra stripe. Mm-hmm. It feels very natural, I guess. A lot of times you see Tesseras and I don't know if this is the right vernacular. They feel fabricated. Right. I love the look of a Tessera, but there's something about Tessera when you have Tessera, especially when you start getting into the Motley Tesseras. I mean, look, here's a Tessera here. This feels fabricated, right? This is a beautiful snake. The colors on the snake are awesome, especially where the black is, and you can see the ultramel, and especially down its spine where you can see the black's faded because it's an ultramel. But the pattern of this snake feels fabricated. And then when I look at this snake, I feel like, oh man, that's what it feels like it would have looked like when it was found, right? Like this looks like a mistake.
Well, because it's closer to not being fabricated. The other one is literally it's fabricated. This is selectively bred.
Yeah, this is SMR Ultramel Motley Tessera het anery to a Amel. Gosh, what was she? Amel Red Factor. Goodness, she was not het anery. She was not het Motley. But anyways, yeah. I think this is the first snake I ever hatched. Her name's Fuego. I'll never breed her. She's just like my pet. She's already old. I mean, God, she probably laid 20 eggs. But yeah, when you kind of look at this feels more, man, that feels like a corn snake. The mahoganies, the reds, the colors. Anyways, so I'm excited. That's just a project. She's probably going to bred this year, but probably next year I'll pair them up. I have an F1. What's called F1. Goodness, say it for me, Joe.
Where are they? The Ladies Island.
Ladies Island. I have an F1 Ladies Island. And then this girl is technically an F1 Ladies Island, but not really. She also is technically het anery, het hypo.
Just reminded me, one of my pairs is one of the first Ladies Island clutches. I'm throwing one of those males to one of the pewter girls.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's awesome.
It's not going to make anything happen
for
year, but
you know what it's going to make is really cool snakes, because those Lady Islands are damn nice snakes. We're not going to sit here and say that wild type corn snakes aren't awesome, right? Like they're
great.
They're better looking than like a lot of snakes. Anyways, all right, JT, we have at least 1,000 pictures to go through. I'm going to try to skip ahead.
And then while JT is telling this, I want to know which one of these were on purpose and which one of these did you decide, I'm not breeding that this year, but I'm still going to get 26 eggs out of it.
I think all mine were on purpose this year.
Okay, there we go.
There were no accidents. Well, maybe I was like, this girl's ovulating, I'll throw a male in with her. So it was kind of planned, but kind of not. And then you end up with, oops, I have too many pairs.
So what we're going to do is every picture I pull up, Joe is going to try to guess the morph and the combination. I'm joking.
Well, let's do that.
No.
No, with yours, it's too complicated because you have secret shit in there that I can't play.
Bonus points if you can get mask on all of them.
Ooh.
Here's a hint. There's mask on pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm looking at his head right now. So, yeah.
I love mask. I do. I love what mask does. I know people hate mask.
I have a love-hate for mask. In the super form, it's really awesome. In the het form, it is so hard to identify. Like, I have animals you can't even tell it has mask in it.
Yeah.
And then males show it more than females.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Okay, so what are we looking at here, JT?
All right, so this one is from a Spectre line. It is a Red Factor Halo Anery, probably het for a male and scaleless.
This snake looks purple. Does it look purple in person?
Yes.
That is really, really cool.
It has a very metallic sheen to it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
This looks I mean, that's close to, it definitely reminds me of Donovan's old stuff without having just that distinctive pink bubblegum thrown at it, but you can still see hints of it, and the saddles are so similar to Donovan's old Spectre stuff. That's really cool.
And it's got the little line behind the head there on the neck.
Yeah.
So I've noticed with the female that this one came from, it's red factor, but it's a very subtle red factor. It's not nearly what JMG stuff is.
Right.
Yeah.
His is way more pronounced than what I have. You can't even hardly tell some of these animals have red factor in it.
So JT, let me ask, and I don't think we've talked too much about Spectre on this podcast, even in the past years. A lot of the Spectre line was having these empty saddles, right?
Yes.
That's so cool. So what do you, man, imagine a world where I could just grab a picture.
You guys just gave me a new project and I'm mad.
All right, so this guy is going back to his mother, who is basically the same thing as him. Okay. And since he is Halo and she's Halo, it should produce thicker, blacker borders.
Okay.
Which looks more like a Spectre should.
Yeah, and I kind of remember that from the OG Spectre stuff. And I think didn't Clint with Metazotics, Good Friends does Bluebird Radio. Didn't he also have an offshoot of that project that he was working with?
He might have. I don't know.
I think he put Ghost into the Spectres, or Hypo into the Spectres, and made Ghost.
Spectre is Hypo.
Oh, so this snake is Ghost.
This is an Anery.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Hypo,
so the Spectres,
scaleless.
that is where my confusion comes from. Okay, so the original Spectre line was also Hypo.
Yes.
Okay,
so this one's an Anery. You'll see in the reel here later on the Hypo version of it.
Okay. I am going to go in order, so we're going to go through the males, and then we're going to get to the females, just because if I keep doing this, somebody's going to get sick because I got to click, and then I got to click to the next one. Justin's probably better at this. See what I got to do? It just doesn't work. Okay. So what is this beautiful? Looks like an AML. Looks awesome.
So this was my very first snake. I bought him as a high contrast albino. Doesn't really tell you what he is. So from test breeding, I've found out he has some form of red factor, some form of halo or green blotched on him. He's an Amel, obviously. And then he's also proven Het Anery and Motley.
And he's got a really cool stripe going down.
I was about to say, why is he striped?
He's got really cool. I don't know if that's the glare, like the stripe down the middle, but he's got like 2 white stripes running through the saddles, like on either side.
Yeah, that's a really cool snake. That's a really cool snake.
He's been one of my greatest breeders just for like table filler because he produces such a variety of stuff.
Yeah.
Typically, he goes to an Ultramel Anery Motley. So then I get like Snows, Ultramel Anerys, Motleys, like a little bit of everything.
That's really cool. He almost looks like an albino black rat. You know what I mean? Like the way the white tipping works and the white creates a stripe. And then there's kind of like a dorsal darker coloration. That's cool. How old is
very different.
Yeah.
The contrast on him is amazing between the reds and the orange.
I mean, I know like Jeff Bong works with a lot of orange or red stuff.
Yeah.
I still don't know what it is.
It almost looks like he wants to be a reverse striped corn snake, right? Like if you kept breeding it and you got the babies and you kept getting, and then slowly but surely the saddles would start connecting. I don't know.
It kind of looks, it's like an albino version of one of my blood reds almost, because she's got, the double stripe down dark as opposed to the white here. That's just what a cool snake.
You're pointing
I
again.
really like that.
Yeah,
I am.
Cool
I'm not going to stop.
All right, we're going to go to the next one.
All right, so this pair, typically the guy that we just showed a second ago, he goes with that lighter colored snake. That's a Ultramel Anery Motley.
Okay.
I have no idea what her hets are. I've not had any hets pop out. So this will be a new pairing for her. The guy is a Gold Dust Motley Tessera, possibly Het Anery. So I might get Ultramel Anerys or Ultra Anerys. I don't know, something weird with it, but a lot of good table filler with it because it'll probably throw Motleys. Well, they're both Motley, so yeah, it'll be Motley and then Motley Tesseras.
Yeah.
But hopefully I can
that
see if like she's had caramel or something else.
Yeah, that's cool. That Ultramel Anery looks like it needs to get thrown into some yellow neck project. So here's something. I'm going to bring this up and kind of think about this. So this is Ultramel Anery.
Yes.
I'm wondering.
Ultramel Anery Motley.
Ultramel Anery Motley. I wonder. I'm going to. Gosh, this is going to be a pain in the butt because I got to get all the way over here to. I wonder if this snake is Ultramel Anery, and this is the hypo version of it. Right?
Maybe.
Because this could be Ghost, and I don't see a lot of red in the eye, but sometimes with hypos you see red in the eye. I don't know. There's a little bit more. The ground color looks less white. You know what I mean? Whereas this one you could tell it's Ultramel Anery, and this one, anyways.
Now, I'm pretty sure mine has much darker stripes than this thing.
Are you talking about the one I sent you?
Yeah.
Well, it's because when they hatch, they have stripes, but everything that comes from this boy loses its stripes over time, with the exception of just a little bit of the dark. So, anyways, that's pretty okay. All right, last tangent, but yeah, that's going to be a cool pair.
Last tangent.
So you're looking for a little bit of table filler here, but also a great pairing because you're going to have Motley to stripe.
Yeah, and a test for her possible other heads because she was not listed as any heads when I bought her.
Yeah.
She was just they didn't even have the Motley listed on her morph. Like it was just a random table that I bought her when I first started collecting snakes. So
it's a cool snake. God, dude, that caramel stripe is just perfect, isn't it? Or caramel Motley, whatever. The
Motley test.
Gold Dust.
Gold
yeah. Dust. Okay.
So Ultramel Anery, caramel, Motley Tessera.
That's awesome. God, that's a good looking snake. Yeah, that's gonna be. Yep, that'll be a good one. That'll be a good one, JT. Here's a beautiful Okatee.
So that's a 2013 SMR Extreme Okatee Het Amel.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be
So he is going to the girl that was with that gold dust in the last picture.
yeah.
So he's going to a gold dust Het Motley. So
Okay.
like Ultramel, Okatees, reverse Okatees. He produces some nice looking babies.
Yeah, I can only imagine. He's awesome.
Yeah, he looks like a rainbow boa. That's pretty good.
He has like perfect black on his tail. I love that. That's awesome. All right, what do we got here? What's this one?
All right, so this guy is the counterpart to like Chris's yellow project.
Yeah.
He has no yellow on him whatsoever. Like none in the throat that aneries typically have. I've determined he is green blotched anery.
Okay.
Het Amel, and I got him from a scaleless corn snake breeder. And after the fact, I found out he was 25% possible het, scaleless. He has since proven out to be scaleless.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I bred him and then pretty much held back like an entire clutch to try and work out the blacks and make like a black diamond looking corn snake, make it as dark as possible. So all the females I held back have proven out het scaleless also.
All right.
And then you'll see one of their babies later on. Like
I love the look of this snake. And one of the things I love in this picture, you can almost see the iridophores in the black. You get this like really beautiful rainbowing. That's a great snake, man. That's a cool ass snake.
Mm-hmm.
He's just so dark and no yellow, which is really rare for an anery.
I swear, every snake that looks like this, especially the aneries, is the most chill snake ever. Is that the case for him?
He's pretty good. I mean, most of mine are really pretty good. And I've had a couple of people say that he looks very similar to like the Devil's Garden aneries.
Yes, he does.
Wild types.
This is what it looks like I would feel if I found a snake that was a corn snake that was an anery in the wild. Like that's what I would see. It was awesome.
So he's going to one of his possible het scaleless daughters this year.
Yeah.
To prove her out.
That's awesome. Go to the next one here. Oof. There we go.
This is a Miami Okatee, het hypo and a Mel.
Okay.
He's going to 2 Miamis this year, and then might go into a Spectre also.
Ooh, okay.
All round 2. But you notice he's got like that split neck also. Like
he got a real unique pattern, yeah. And he has that split neck, yeah.
I just love that split neck on him, so I figure he might go good to the Spectre.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's had hypo and possible het anery, so he could produce Spectre-ish looking animals.
Yeah.
Be pretty cool.
That's cool. I love this thing. This is cool. Did you produce this one?
I did not. That came from Heather, Mystic Exotics, out on the West Coast.
Okay, cool. I wonder if there's some Carol Huddleston influence in here.
Oh, probably more than likely. I think
Miami from the West Coast is probably something from Carol.
Yeah, they all trade Miami stuff back and forth.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Did you
it's cool.
Was that Het Amel?
Yes, het Amel. So mixed candy canes.
Yeah, make candy canes. That'll make really nice candy canes. Oof. Here we go. That's that good stuff right there.
That is Buffalo Bill.
Okay.
Son of Hannibal. That is a mask honey tessera, het diffused, posset everything.
Nice. Yeah.
Possible pied. I think something else in there too, maybe. He's het sender and stripe.
Jesus Christ.
Nice.
Yeah,
so everything.
He's got everything in him.
My boy looks so much like him, the one I got from you, the son of Hannibal. They're so good. They're so good.
I just love like looking. Go back to that one.
This one, yeah.
So if you look at the like stripe down the back, it's like gold diamonds with black outline on it.
Yeah.
Which is really unique looking.
I like how if you look at the nape and the first third of the snake, the stripe is yellow and the sides are maybe a deeper yellow. And then as you get down, you get the deep yellow on the stripe and then that light color on the sides.
I think the head sender plays a big part in his look also.
It's a really unique snake. That one's awesome.
And this one everybody hates.
Hates? Why? I was about to say that's Hannibal.
I was kidding. He blends in really well.
Yeah. He's cool. How old is he now?
He's a 2017, so I guess
He's
7.
not even 10 yet. Yeah. He's cool. That's such a crazy snake. It's so crazy that
love
snake
that
just
snake.
exists. Yeah. The black tipping on him is wild. Has that happened more as he's gotten older?
Oh yeah. Like the diffuse just come in a lot more as he's aged, and it just breaks up the pattern more and more. It's hard to see in the photo, but almost every one of his scales has like a white lacing around it.
Yeah.
So it's like a gray scale with like a little bit of black in it, some yellow, and then there's like a white lace around every scale.
I swear every time I see a picture of this snake, every year I get a picture of him and he just looks more different, more black tipping, and then he's got this like white fish netting. That's awesome.
So he is, I'm pretty sure he's a supermass diffused honey Miami het cinder pied.
Ah, okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Bong got one of his sons and then bred it back into like a Walter Smith caramel shatter and produced a honey pie from it.
Oh, okay.
It's an awesome looking animal.
I think he's so cool. That's so badass.
It's like he's got static in his saddles. I love it
Yeah.
so much.
Does he have almost like a pink nose?
Kind of, yes. It's more whitish a lot of times.
That's cool. God, he's
I've
cool.
heard that pied or het pied has like a white nose.
Has he produced 1,000 children yet?
Probably.
I was about to say he's produced a bunch.
Well, if you
What a
count
champion.
children and grandchildren, because you
Yeah.
have some of his, Jeff
Yeah.
has some. There's a lot of his kids that are breeders out there now.
Yeah.
Shit, I got
Yeah.
like 5 just in this room.
Yeah. I've got, goodness. I could probably be on the next generation of Hannibal grandchildren in my collection. I've got stuff from him. That's cool.
He's
Man,
got a lot of these.
He's good. That's a good snake, man. I'm glad you're still breeding him. I'm glad you're still coming up with projects for him too. What's this thing? What is this? What is this little silky smooth?
So this was the mistake I did not know I had in my collection. I didn't
Yeah.
know I had scaleless. And
Whose baby is that? That's not yours.
that one came from the Dark Anery project that I didn't know I had scaleless in.
That's so badass.
And
That is like the first scaleless corn snake I've ever seen that doesn't have a damn scale on it.
he has none unless it's
Yeah.
his belly. There's
Yeah.
one or two like up near his eyes, and that's it.
This is one of the first scaleless that I've seen that I actually like.
It's just so cool.
That thing.
And it kind of has.
This guy was such a great eater, like right off the bat. I
That's
think he's
awesome.
probably like 40 or 50 grams already.
Wow.
So he's like large fuzzies, almost up to hoppers.
Nice.
Wow. I don't do the scaleless, but damn, that's a good looking snake, man.
That is a very pretty snake.
Does it almost looks like his base color has blue on it?
Yeah, he is also red factor, which is
Okay.
he came from breeding to the specters that I have, and
Yeah.
it's like a very subtle red factor in it.
Yeah. That's really cool. I love the little leopard pattern on the side too. That's cool.
I
That's a cool one,
really
man.
want to not want scaleless right now.
I know
Let's go.
you're writing it down. You're all scaleless anery from JT.
And you can see like the line going down his back, like the
Yeah.
white line.
He's got a like white stripe all the way down his back. Especially you can see it on this
Sucker
like
for hidden stripes.
yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Awesome. All right.
All right, so this one is a red factor, probably coral, halo snow tessera, and it came
Okay.
from that bright orange guy
Yeah.
that was towards
So
the
that's
beginning.
that's this
So
guy
this
right
is-
here.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's his daughter that he's going back to this year to test
Okay.
to see what else he might be het for.
And this one also has motley or stripe in it.
She is pos het motley.
Man, that almost looks visual motley.
Yeah,
Just because it's like a perfect stripe. You know what I mean? There's no breaking in the tessera.
she does have like a little bit of pattern on the sides, but it's very faint.
So let me see if I can. I'm gonna send a picture to Alex here real quick because that's how we're doing this. Let's see if I get this one through. So I have a one that I'm breeding this year. That's a snow. excuse me. Snow motley tessera, and I'm gonna jump ahead and we're gonna do the thing again. Right there. So that's, I don't know a good way to zoom in, but she has that same exact, like little bit of pattern on the sides, just a little bit, but that perfect stripe. So this year we're going to test her for motley and stripe, and I'm pretty sure she is, just because the way the rest of the clutch came out, the rest of the tesseras came out. It's a terrible picture too. But yeah, so kind of, almost similar 6 years. Yours has a little bit more. Oh, we're going to go through all the pictures again. We're gonna get there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She's cool, man.
Yeah,
Do you
so
notice her eyes are like really white, like very, very, very light colored?
very light pink. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's the same way. It's cool. All right, so she's going back to her dad.
Correct. I have a lot going back to parents or siblings this year.
Sure.
And half of them are like just to test for random hets.
Yeah.
But I know they'll produce cool stuff.
Oh, of course. So what do we got going on here? This one looks
All
like a
right,
diffused.
so this one is Peahat. She is a daughter of Hannibal.
Okay.
She is a super mask, but a high expression super mask, which almost makes her look diffused.
I was about to say she looks diffused.
Yeah, except she has a head stamp.
Yeah.
So she's had caramel, diffused. I think she might be Posset, hypo, and motley also.
Wow.
On top of everything that Hannibal has.
Yeah.
So she produced some really nice diffused Sunkiss last year.
Okay.
Those were really pretty.
I can only imagine, man. This thing's great. Again, you have a lot of this white tipping in there. Looks really cool. There's a lot of tipping happening from the babies from Hannibal. That's really cool. A lot of neat little things happening on the scales that you really.
And you can almost see like a het caramel, like on her first half or first third, like how it has that slight yellowish tint to it.
That's what I thought was going on with my yellowhead stuff. I thought that I had caramel for sure, but I've bred and mixed them back together and taken babies back, and I've yet to get any kind of a caramel out of them. That's cool, man. And so she's going to be going back to Hannibal?
Yeah. That was a good pairing last year, so I figured just repeat it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oof. Yep. These are good.
All right, so that one is Flame. That's another daughter of Hannibal.
Yeah.
I think she's from Hannibal to Clarice. So I produced her, and this is just going to be more of diffused supermask honey Miami.
Okay.
Hopefully I could get some pieds popping out of there.
That would be really cool. You know, I've produced a few Hannibal children to Hannibal children, and I haven't gotten any pieds, but then again, I haven't held on to them long enough to see if there is any pied going on.
Oh. The yellow stripes coming up the side of that thing is just so cool.
It's so killer. JT there? You are muted.
Well, I mean, we can just talk shit about JT and Alex right now. Oh shit, figure
I
that
can
out.
hear you. All right. Can you zoom in on her head stamp? Do you have that ability?
Uh,
I know technology is tough for you. Nope.
Let's see here. Let's try a little harder. Is that giving me any? It's only letting me zoom out.
All right, it's not important. So she was just named off of her head stamp. It looks like a bunch of like flames sticking up.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But she has kind of like the pinkish nose.
Yeah,
you were talking about before.
I need to look for a picture of my female that is very, very similar to this. She produced last year, and
her diffused is not as pronounced as his.
Yeah.
Like you could still see some on the sides, but then she's got totally clear belly, and she even has that like translucent strip down the middle of her belly.
That's cool. It's a cool ass snake.
But you can kind of see she also has that like white lacing around the scales that I was talking about on Hannibal.
Trying to see if this is. I do, my female that's from Hannibal has that pink nose. Now that I think about it, she has kind of like a little bit of a lighter color on the nose. That's awesome. I'll pull up a picture over here in a minute. I'll go to the next one. What is this? What's this? Is
this one is Impa. She is a bandit Motley Miami. So she will be going to Gannon, which is that Miami Okiti.
Yeah.
That was earlier. So
that's cool.
Should be pretty good. Like
I
bandit.
love the colors. Yeah, I love the colors on the snake.
I just like how far around the saddles reach, especially for a Motley.
Yeah, no kidding. That's really weird. I love the little pockets in the saddles.
Oh yeah, like the little frosting pieces.
Yeah. That here, press and send on this. Yeah, that's cool. That's like you could just breed these, like make a bunch of these. That's so damn cool. When these hatch, what do they look like?
I mean, she pretty much looked like that right out of the egg, and as soon as she hatched, I was like, "Yep, I'm keeping that one."
Yeah, I know how that goes.
What I dropped some. Will you tell me what that is again? I was cutting out. I didn't have any audio or anything.
That's a bandit Motley Miami.
Okay.
You find a lot of Motley Miamis that don't hold on to a lot of that light ground color for some reason. This one's like perfect, and you still have a little bit of the black tipping in there too, which a lot of Motleys and stripes lose all their black.
So she's Posset hypo.
Okay.
So she could throw that in like a crimson, which is a hypo Miami.
I was gonna say she looks pretty crimson, so that's pretty cool.
It's a cool color. Man, I love those little blank spots on the saddles.
She's just like so much more red than my other Miamis.
So this is the one that you produced that I have that bred for me last year. She'll be breeding again. But you can see she has that pink nose.
Oh, yeah.
She's cool. She's perfect, dude. That's a badass snake.
I kind of need one of those.
Yeah.
We can hook you up.
Yeah. I know the people that make these. Yeah. I also love that, like, as she goes down further into her saddles, they, like, explode. They just, like, lose all of their structure. That's that sun-kissed effect right there.
That line is so weird. Like, with the mask in there, it really mutes the yellows on a lot of them. So if you have, like, the super mask version of it, the yellow in, like, the head and the neck area is just so much more muted.
Yeah. That's cool. Oh, let's get back to... Sorry.
You can just go back to that scaleless and let me ogle it a little bit. That's all right.
That is a cool snake.
So
you had no plans to produce any scaleless, JT?
I did not. I didn't even know I had scaleless in my collection.
That's awesome. Man, what a scaleless to hatch. You know what I mean?
You should accidentally make a lot more of that.
Yeah, you should.
There's plans for scaleless now.
The scaleless aneries are the best looking scaleless. There's some other scaleless that look pretty cool, but the scaleless aneries just look great. All right, I'm going to go to this next one, and I'm going to have to step away for 1 second while y'all talk about it. I'll be right back, but I'll pop over to it. Let's see. There. Okay.
All right, so this one is pretty standard in Miami. She's het female, so can make candy canes. Nothing super fancy, but I find Miami seem to sell pretty good. And I think, Joe, you were talking earlier about like the blushing in between the saddles, like on the first like few inches of the snake.
Yeah.
When babies hatch out, if they start having like those little dots of like orange or yellowish in between them on Miamis, I kind of consider them as like dirty Miamis.
Right.
Or regulars or normal classics.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've done Miami to Miami, and you almost end up with like some of them are always going to be dirty or have like a buckskin Okiti-ish look to them, like a little bit of coloration in the ground. So not all Miamis produce nice Miamis all the time.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that actual distinction because I haven't produced Miamis yet. I think I'm a year or two out with my Huddleston weirdos, and even that barely. That's not just like a straight Miami. But yeah, I mean, something like that, like this right here, if it was, if you had too much color in between those saddles, it just wouldn't look I mean, it's such a clean looking snake, and Miami can be just the cleanest, crispiest looking, just beautiful pattern, clean background color. And yeah, if you wash that out too much with all that interstitial, but with the normals, I love that color in there.
Yeah.
But something like this, I can absolutely see why you wouldn't want it.
This girl, I love how she's got like the frosting in the middle of the saddles, like the white patches, and then the lower portions of her body, like the orangish yellow looking stripes that stick up from the sides.
Yeah. It's really cool that the yellowish orange is it's distinctly different from the saddle colors. And it's really nice contrast there. That is a really cool snake.
Those like little firesides.
Oh, does she have it? She has it on the side of her head too?
Yeah, it looks like down
here.
Cool.
It's a badass snake. So what is she paired to?
Cool.
She's going to that Miami Okati.
Yeah. That's good.
The one with the thick borders and was like bright orange.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
So they'll make candy canes.
Yeah.
Which should be pretty nice.
Yeah. Might have to get some from you that are not candy canes because that's badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to get kind of like a Spectre Miami kind of looking snake, possibly. That's cool. Let's go. All right. Let's go. All right. What do we got here? We've got that same Okati?
Yeah, the same Okati to a gold dust.
Okay.
So should get Okati-ish looking animals, hopefully. Reverse Okatis and Ultramel Okatis.
That's awesome. Yeah. So gold dust is Ultramel caramel, right?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
So the caramel's not going to transfer over. She's also het Motley, but as far as I know, he's not het Motley, so that shouldn't transfer over either. But imagine him, but in Ultramel.
Yeah.
So where the blacks are, it's a purplish gray look to it, which I think would look really sweet.
That's one of the big things I'm working towards is Ultramel Okatis. They're so cool, and they're a pain in the ass to make. Unless you buy a nice Ultramel Okati and pair it to a reverse Okati, you're usually not getting good Ultramel Okatis. It takes generations to do it.
Crossing out the Okati, you're going to get less of the borders. But since he's an extreme Okati, hopefully it just takes him down to regular Okatis instead of extreme.
That's what I got. The one male that I kept just looks like a good Okati Ultramel, but it came from a killer reverse Ultramel female, a revolt. Oh my gosh, reverse Okati, extreme reverse. Oh my god, whatever they're called. A lot of white. She's pretty. Anyways, yeah, she made cool stuff. So, and in my first generation, I saw that Okati influence, but I only got one ultra male Okati. Male. I got a female, but I didn't keep her. I just needed the male. That's gonna be cool. It's gonna be real cool. What's this? What are we doing here, JT?
So there's that scaleless guy again. You can see like how big he is compared to a full-grown female, and he was hatched last year. So,
Wow.
So
are you pairing him?
I'm gonna try to. Yes, he might not be ready like early this season, but maybe later on, like June or July, he might be up to breeding.
Yeah.
So the female there is from Hannibal line. It's a caramel shatter Miami het diffused, possibly some other stuff in there.
Yeah.
I'd have to look to see who her father was, but just think of scaleless honey Miami.
Yeah.
So that's in the works.
I produced a couple of these caramel shatters. They're badass. They're really cool.
I love how dark the shatters are.
Yeah, they're
Caramel
really
added onto it.
It's kind of you don't get any yellow either. You like a little bit when they hatch, you see a little bit of the caramel influence, but you see the caramel influence create this like almost anery looking snake. It's
It's so weird that there's no yellow coming through on that thing.
For some reason,
takes out the yellow.
I was going to say cinder. Yeah, I'm so used to, you see an anery mixed with anything and the bastard still has yellow on it. Things like that. You see caramel, anything, the bastard still has yellow on it. That's just really interesting seeing that it still has an effect, but not that it's the tone of the color instead of the color itself, I guess. Like the yellow's gone, but the rest of the influence is there.
Yeah, because
you can see a little bit of the red factor showing through on that scaleless.
Mm-hmm.
It has like
still
just a slight pink tint to it.
It does. Oh, that scaleless is really cool, and you still see that blue down by the tail. I'm interested to see how that snake progresses. As they get older, they get more and more that they go through that ontogenic change. It'd be cool to see what that looks like.
So that's one of my starts to a project this year.
Man, with the shatter, what does a scaleless shatter do?
I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll find out.
What does a scaleless cinder do? I don't even know. Are there any scaleless scaleless caramel shatters out there? I don't even know if that's been done yet.
Probably not.
Nice.
We're gonna find out.
You heard it here first.
So I'm also
go back.
I guess the ant to the scaleless.
Yeah.
I'm putting Hannibal to the scaleless's ant, which is a snow het scaleless.
Okay.
So I'll have two different lines or bloodlines of the scaleless honey Miami stuff.
Yeah. Have you produced any? Let's see. Let me see if I say it right. Like a butter shatter.
I have not.
So yeah, that would be caramel, amel, cinder, sunkissed.
So all my stuff from Walter Smith, that like the Hannibal line stuff, they were all listed as pos het amel, and not a single one of them has proved out het amel.
No amels.
Yeah.
So I wonder what that looks like. I wonder what happens when you put amel on that shatter. So
I think there's a couple people that have done it, like Chris Nicholas maybe has done it.
Yeah. I wonder if you get the yellow, right? I wonder if once it becomes an amel, you start seeing the
hell. I've seen an amel
caramel come through. Well, but no, I've seen amel shatters, but I've never seen an amel caramel shatter.
Right.
My God, they're butter
The
shatters.
introduction of amel into that line.
I'm not really trying for getting amel into it. I'm just trying to get scaleless into the line.
You'll still have that byproduct, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's really interesting. I've seen amel shatters, but I've never seen a butter shatter, and I've definitely never seen a scaleless shatter. So awesome. So this would be this if they breed this year, or if they breed next year, or if they breed later this year, that'll be a super fun project.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see what happens, and they're gonna be pet for everything.
I'm holding on to shatters this year. God damn, it's a cool snake. Oh, I gotta hold on to shatters. Man, I got that Tessera shatter last year too. Whoo, those were cool.
Oh, those are cool,
dude. The Tessera shatters are really cool because my Hannibal son is a Tessera, and I produced shatters and Tessera shatters last year. I should have held on. All right, there we are.
All right, so this is just another anery, possible het scaleless, a male hypo. She's going back to her father, the dark black anery.
Yeah. Cool. Now, he is not the one that's het scaleless, though.
He is, yes.
I'm sorry, excuse me. He is the one that's het scaleless.
Yes.
Awesome. So you're just gonna have a clutch with scaleless aneries to talk with Joe about.
Hopefully, she's het scaleless, like all of her sisters have proved out.
I wonder, and so we know that down the line. We go way down the line. The first scaleless are from root beer corns, right? It didn't pop. There was never an AML, or excuse me, there was never a scaleless Emery, but there was supposedly a scaleless root beer, right? So I wonder if there's Emery influence happening in here. Obviously, they figured out genetically that's just not true. It's pure corn. It's not even close. It's not even on the scale of relativity between an Emery and a corn snake. So interesting. I don't know. I see absolutely no Emery influence in these animals.
Yeah,
I'm upset at how soon I'm going to have to be talking to JT about these snakes. Damn it! I don't want scaleless, but that thing looks so good.
It's entirely too crispy clean. All
so
right.
when I was holding back babies from that clutch, I was just like sorting through them, like as they age. Like, okay, this one's starting to get a little bit more yellow. I don't like that. Sell that one off. I'm wondering if all the ones I ended up keeping were actually markers for het scaleless.
Potentially. A lot of
Like
people
the
think
ones that were clean looking, in my opinion, I was actually looking at het scaleless.
that is possible. A lot of people think that you can there are identifiers for het scaleless.
Interesting.
All right, so this girl is a Spectre. She is a Red Factor Halo Ghost het AML. So she produced that like really purpley-ish metallic looking guy at the beginning.
Yeah.
And he's going back to her.
Okay.
And then if she's able to double clutch, she might go to that Miami Okatee, that really bright one that had like the same neck split also.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to click the thing so I can go back and we can. You're talking about back to this guy.
Yeah, so the first pairing, she's going back to that guy. I've already had a couple locks from them.
Nice. Yeah, that's going to be badass. Yeah, that's going to be.
And that's just to produce more Spectre-looking animals.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah.
I think we got a either a Motley or a Striped Cinder right here.
That is a Striped Cinder from ECW.
Okay.
Her and her sister are going this year. She is Posket, Caramel Sunkissed, Amel, Anery, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So she is going to Buffalo Bill,
Okay.
who is Het Stripe and Cinder.
Yeah.
And then hopefully, like, she's pretty much the opposite of what Buffalo Bill is.
So you could get like Striped Cinder Caramel.
Yes. And Tessera
And
on that.
Ooh. This is a cool ass snake, JT.
She's pretty nice looking.
Yeah,
She's pretty well gravid right there. She does have like the cinder body shape somewhat, which is a weird shape.
Very thin, very long.
Yeah, like if you cut a cross section on them, they're more like a Hershey Kiss shape.
Yeah.
Instead of a loaf of bread.
it's one of the interesting things about cinders, and I've kind of noticed that like you can produce, you can have a het cinder and a cinder in the same clutch, and the cinders do have kind of a little bit more unique of a body shape.
I was going to say I had het cinders before, and they didn't really. I mean, she was still pretty bread loafy. Didn't really have that.
Yeah, I've got my Motley zombie het cinder paired up to my cinder zombie Motley. Those are Silent Hill Productions. And God, dude, the zombies are so badass.
They're fun, and they love to eat.
They are, yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, they do.
That line, I typically feed them like 2 or 3 days out of the egg.
Really?
Instead of waiting like the week after their first shed, they're eating right away, most of them.
That's crazy. Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. I think I've very much fallen in love with Cinder. Just like visual Cinder with either Motley or Stripe. This snake is killer. Tessera Cinders are awesome. I may need to get more Cinders in my life as the year
Cinder
progresses.
has a lot of uses. I think a lot of people are going to start working with het Cinder a lot just to get like the different influence on them.
Yeah,
but not the full visual.
Yeah, do a bunch of het Cinder diffused and just
What does Cinder diffused look like? I think I hatched one, but it had other stuff in it. Let's see here. Let's go over here. Let's look at. Oh, look at that. JT, you hatched that snake.
Yeah.
That's a real nice zombie. All right, let's get back to where we were. Let's see where we're at there. That man. So there's a chance you're going to produce just more of these, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I might.
Because what she is visual of is what her mate is het for.
Yeah. Man, he's a good looking snake. Ooh, and there'll be het caramel. Ooh. Yeah. All right, JT, we're gonna have to talk. You know what I mean? We might have to do a little bit. You might need some alternative. You know what I mean, baby?
All right.
All right. What do we got going on here?
I think we already covered this one.
No,
Yep.
Oh, sorry. We may start hitting. All right. What's this one? Looks like a Motley.
All right. So this is the sibling to that Cinder Stripe that we saw a second ago.
Okay.
This is a Ghost Motley. Posset, Cinder, other stuff too. Sunkissed, I think. Caramel. So she's going to the same male as the Cinder Stripe is going to.
Do you not see this snake and just instantly think het Cinder? Right?
Oh, I do, yeah.
Right? Like it just has it has the pink tipping. And you said this one is also visual hypo?
Yes.
Is there a chance this snake is visual Cinder?
I don't think so.
Sometimes when you see the visual Cinder with visual hypo, you get that real pink tipping. But also you get the same thing with the hets sometimes.
True. It's hard to say.
That's a really weird looking corn snake.
I like it.
Yeah.
He's very light colored.
Yeah. Like really washed out.
But
Like
I think the het Cinder is playing a part of that.
Definitely. Like if it's not visual Cinder, it definitely is het. Like it has all. Man, look at the white walls. Absolutely white sides. That's cool.
Yeah, it's like somebody
really cool.
scrubbed off half of its color. I love it.
Yeah. Here, Alex sent me a picture. Let's get over there. What's this? What are we looking at?
Oh,
Carol sent me that. That's Cinder Diffuse Motley from Zombie Lines.
That's cool. When did she put diffuse in those lines?
I don't know. She said it popped up. She said she must have put it in there, but she said she produced a couple 2 seasons ago, and I was like, "Did you still have some?" She said, "No, I sold them off." So when she produced them last season, I was like one of the first people she thought of. She's like, "Oh, here's this for you." I was like, "Thank you. Been waiting on this. This looks beautiful."
That is a cool snake.
The parents were also from her banded line as well, so I think she crossed over like 2 different lines of like Miami Motleys.
Yeah.
So she had her zombies and her bandeds. Both had diffuse running through them. So and you see that the like typical zombies, that head is just washed out.
Yeah.
The more he sheds, that head pattern is just disappearing.
It's so weird with the zombie lines. Just as they age, that like you said, it's 6 months or so in, that head is just gone. It's just blank.
Yeah, I'm going to a show this weekend.
He's one of my favorite new acquisitions. I really like him.
Yeah.
And like JT said, great eater too.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited. I've been thinking, so I have I'm going to try to pull up a picture of this reverse Okatee. I've been thinking about putting my zombie into a reverse Okatee girl. And she's a great breeder. She's big. I got her as a baby, and I fed her real good. She's one of those snakes that likes to come out and say hello when it's feeding time. But what has anybody ever done albino into the zombie stuff?
Not that I know of.
Maybe.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of people working with the zombie stuff.
No, and a lot of people with the zombie stuff just keep it zombie to zombie.
Yeah. I've outcrossed it a few times just to see what was actually going on there. It's still confusing.
Yeah. Do you get any of that look in the babies that you've outcrossed?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So I figured out for the zombies, the Motley plays a part on it, and then Het Sender plays a big part because they're kind of working together on top of the Miami that they are. Yeah. And then I found there is also mask in the line.
I would imagine there's some mask going on, especially with the sides
reduces
here.
The colors even more and like takes away some of the borders.
Yeah. See, I'm wondering, this is the girl I'm talking about. And she's a killer reverse Okatee.
She's so pretty looking.
And so I bred her last year, and I got I put her into an ultramel, and that's where I got that one male Okatee ultramel. But if I put her into a zombie, right, that into that, I should get just normals. Maybe even some kind of like Miami Okatee looking snakes. Also, look at this guy. I love his pattern because it just like bleeds together. He's got like a little mask on his side. But putting that into this, seeing what happens, I don't know.
I think you can get some pretty cool babies out of that, especially once you breed, pair the babies together.
Yeah.
Get some peppermints.
Get that kind of peppermint.
If you're having an Okatee to a Miami, you're going to get some of the similar Miami Okatee looking animals that JT has. Yeah. And then imagine putting those back together and getting a mix between something that's extreme, something that's banded motleys, and all this other type of, you're going to have your mask, your cinder, your peppermints.
It's corn snakes. They're het for everything. Het for everything.
Then you're going to tell yourself you should hold back the whole clutch, and you're not going to, and you regret it 3 years later.
Somebody else is going to breed them and get the coolest. Because if you take this and make it a peppermint with that blank head, and this guy's got a little bit of pattern towards the front of his head, kind of around his eyes, but you see that washout on going into the motley. That might be pretty cool. I might have to do that this year. See what they do.
Yeah, please do that this year, because if that ends up, further down the line, you just get that stark white head that just keeps washing out more and more as it gets older. And those
it would be too. It would just be a white head.
Yeah,
it may that might be a long-term project I want to look at. I've thought about it before. And
all right, now imagine that, but scaleless. Because if you look at the picture of that scaleless guy, like he has no head stamp.
Yeah, we'll get back there. Because that is a cool ass snake.
You gotta stop showing him. It just hurts.
Oh, so weird. I wonder if he doesn't have a head stamp because he's scaleless, right? Like he'll produce normals, but they'll still have a head stamp because the being scaleless, it messes with the pattern, right? Like it messes with things that you're seeing. You don't get any of the black tipping. You don't get any of that keratin kind of weird coloring that happens in the scales. Like you can't have a lavender scaleless, which is just still blows my mind. That's like even a thing. Yeah, it's exciting. So JT, I'm going to go through all y'all. This is what we're saying on. So JT, what are we the most excited about this year?
It's a tough one. I mean, obviously, Hannibal to Flame is going to be really nice babies.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm probably the most excited about that really orange one, my first snake,
Yeah.
back to his daughter.
Yeah.
Just to see what is hidden in there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's a great looking animal and like super bright.
And this was the daughter, right?
No, that's the daughter of Hannibal.
Sorry.
The daughter is the snow tessera.
That's right.
Right
That
there.
one right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be cool. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. It'll just be exciting because it's first time pairing, just seeing what happens.
I mean, who am I kidding? I get excited about every egg that pits.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas time.
Makes you want to call into work. I know.
Before I forget, we were doing all the breeding episode stuff and we touched on getting the eggs, incubators. I still use the Hovabator because I think it's funny in their corn snakes and I can.
Yeah.
But we should probably run through what we do with babies because everybody handles that a little bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
Just in
close
case.
this out. Awesome. So yeah, what do we? Oh, that's kind of cool. So yeah, Alex, you only had one clutch, right?
One clutch.
So how'd you handle your babies?
So I think I gave them probably a week together, like in the tub. Like I was taking out the eggs once they hatched out and just kind of discarding those. I think I gave them, I want to say, yeah, probably like a week together until I like put them in their own separate bins. I had water for them. And then once they really started having their first sheds is probably when I started feeding. I think it was about 2 weeks after hatch out, somewhere around there. So, and then I don't know, just feeding babies, trying to get them to grow. I didn't have any really stubborn eaters, which was good. I know that that's a problem for a lot of breeders, like trying to get snakes to continually eat. I was actually lucky. I didn't have any problems with my first clutch, so that was really nice. They came from a good line, from Eric's collections, and they just, I mean, they started growing like weeds. So
Yeah.
I have tubs that I use for all of them that they're separated out into. I do paper towel, water dish, and I like to do for babies like paper towel rolls, just because once they really start getting established, and if they don't sell, I'll give them blackout hides and let them go. But yeah, I sent a couple down to Steve Royland's. We sent a box down to him. Yeah.
I like doing a real squished paper towel roll in there. Like you kind of
Yes.
squish it down, and man, you find out they kind of curl in there and do their thing.
Yeah.
JT, what are you doing for babies?
So when babies first hatch out, I separate them right away. As soon as they hatch, separate, like weigh, sex. I typically do 3 times sexing a baby just so I can be sure what they are. Because
don't want to.
Sometimes they change, or you do it wrong, or you don't like roll your finger the proper way, just to be sure of what I'm selling. Most of the time, I'm not in a hurry to get them feeding, so I'll wait a week after their first shed and then offer meals. Unless it's like a zombie, then I feed them right away. Occasionally, I'll throw like a live pinky or like a frozen thawed in the tub, like as they're hatching, just to see like who's got the gumption to eat right away. Just because that's a good eater then.
Right.
I mean, sometimes they could have 3 meals in 2 weeks, like right out of the egg.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, I prefer going for like a little sandwich container instead of rack system. I just find it's easier for me because I take mine outside to take pictures of them for the natural sunlight. Taking the tubs outside, like the sandwich containers, is a lot easier than trying to keep track of like who's who when you're taking pictures.
Taking those little tubs outside is such a pain in the ass, and then the snake like freaks out and goes flying out of it.
Oh yeah,
That's because I use pencil tubs, and I hate them. I hate them.
It's a hassle.
Yeah.
I have started using like the sandwich containers that have like the little divider in them, like you were saying. I put the water dish on one side and then like paper towel and like toilet paper roll on the other side, so they're not flipping their water and getting the whole thing wet.
Oh, that's
The
smart.
water's all contained on the one side, and then they just go up and over the little lip to get water.
Yeah.
So pretty easy to take care of them.
Yeah.
Just feed, clean poop.
Yeah. Joe, how are you doing it?
Actually pretty close to JT. I sometimes I'll leave them in the tub together for a while, but as I'm pulling them and I'm sexing them, again, I'll do it 3 or 4 times just because I also want to make sure, because I feel dumb for how many times I haven't checked when I'm receiving things. And I'll do them in, sandwich container or similar, just something, little blue plastic lid snaps all the way around because I'm constantly scared of stuff escaping. I tried to solve them flipping their water dishes by hot gluing just a 2-ounce portion cup to the bottom, and then I would just, I thought I'd just replace the portion cup. No, it doesn't fucking work. The hot glue doesn't stick to anything.
The hot glue, and if it does stick, they shit under it.
Yeah.
So I gave up on that, and that's when I started switching to something heavier. I can't find the little glass tea light holders. Anytime I remember to look, someday I'm gonna actually.
I think you should get them on Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I get them.
Yeah,
like a 25 count's like $20.
Yeah,
that's worth it to me. I need those things real bad. But yeah, I separate them, and with babies, for the most part, they're on ambient.
Yeah.
Until much later, and they've been thriving on that. It's been really good, and my heat here during the summer is great. So everybody's doing well. If they don't, similar to JT, they shed, and then I'll wait at least a week, maybe even longer, before I offer the first time. I'll offer everybody frozen thawed. Mine have tended to hatch out pretty small, so one of those micro pinks from Lane.
Yeah,
and
loves micro pinks.
If they don't take it the first time, most of them have, luckily. But if they don't take it the first time, and I'm drop feeding everything, I don't even bother trying to tongue feed them at first.
No.
I'll give them 2 or 3 shots at drop feeding frozen thawed, and if the first time they don't take it, then I'll brown bag them too, just so they're super secure in there, don't have to deal with anything. If by the 3rd time they haven't taken it, then my buddies at one of the local pet shops, they breed mice, and I'll tell them, okay, now's the time when you start calling me, telling me the moment that any of your mice drop, I need you to pull 10 for me, and they'll do it right away, so I get the tiniest live that I can.
Tiny ones, yeah.
And because I'm done with all of, I ran through the whole bag of tricks last year for a bunch of non-feeders. Tuna juice, fucking lizard scenting, gecko skin, boiled, all of it failed. Every single one of my tricks failed last year until I just threw a live one in there, and then they were gone.
Yeah, I think live works best with corns. If you have a bad feeder. Now, the other thing is boiled. I do boiled before I do live. And boiled to get some of them, some amount. Maybe if you have 25% of your non-feeders, 25% of those non-feeders will go to boiled.
Yeah, it's always worked for me before, but this last clutch, man, they
wasn't having it.
That shit. Yeah.
For me, I do once I get a couple non-feeders, then I do a buffet for them. And I just throw 5 or 6 babies in a 6-quart tub, and you have a live, a scented, a boiled, frog scented, fish scented, so they can choose whatever they want.
Okay.
And then you get the ones that ate, and then you grab them out and go from there. It's kind of funny with corn snakes. If you scent and a corn snake eats, I swear you never have to scent again. I don't know what it is, but it's they eat once and they're just oh, that's just food. All right, dope.
Nice.
For me, I found the really fussy eaters, they'll eat when it's raining outside.
Yeah.
I guess something with the barometric pressure triggers them. You get that a lot with breeding too. And when they go poop a lot, it seems right when the system's rolling through. So I get a lot of babies that when it's raining and on frog scent.
Interesting.
I'm guessing frogs come out a lot when it rains, maybe.
Oh yeah. That's when they do their thing, and they come out and they look for areas to spawn and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mentioning the raining just reminded me that's actually why I rushed over to the snake room yesterday to throw everything together, is because it was raining.
It actually rained in California.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that definitely works.
I've got them all on paper towels specifically so that I can see if there is evidence. And I'd like to make a motion that from now on that evidence is referred to as Sneeman. And I don't care how dumb that joke is. I've been sitting on it for 2 hours. I actually wrote it down somewhere.
I'm using that from now on when my California king snakes are covered in Sneeman.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, the community. I've ruined it.
So for me, for babies, it's weird. I have a couple of racks with pencil tubs. The year that I had the easiest time with all my corn snakes. So my corn snakes hatch. I put them usually into a slightly bigger tub, and I fill it with sphagnum moss. And I leave them in the incubator until they shed. For me, it's just easiest. I don't take anything out of that room till it sheds, and I keep them together. I just leave them alone. Even California king snakes, all that. They go into a slightly bigger tub. They go into damp sphagnum. They all shed, good to go. They come out. But I took those like 6.5-inch deli cups with the real good locking lids, and I hot glued water bowls, like kind of there's no corner in the circle, but off to the side. And I used that to be able to replace water bowls. The reason I did that is I did have a little bit of the problem with the hot glue because they pop out, but I could pressure wash them and just get all the crap out of there and then fill it full of aspen. I like doing that because then I could write notes all over the lids because I throw everything away every year, whether it's egg boxes, whether it's incubation boxes. I don't throw it away. I recycle everything. I make sure that I have to do new every year. That's me. I can't change that. But the pencil tubs work great. But I usually start them on paper towels until they're eating. After they've shed, I don't necessarily wait. With corn snakes, all the Pituophis, all the California king snakes, the Montane and Mexicana stuff, that stuff is totally different. I don't even feed it for weeks. Sit there, get hungry. Just sit there and just, dude. They don't. I've got snakes that didn't eat until a month ago, right, and hatched in like June, and they didn't drop any weight at all. I don't know. The Mexicana stuff is just like that. Corn snakes are not like that. If a corn snake goes 4 months and it hasn't eaten, it's probably not going to make it. It's just they're a higher metabolism animal. But I'll start them all on paper towels. I use the exact same thing Alex was talking about. I tear up my paper towel rolls and I squish them down. And I put them in there. Put a water bowl in there. I love using the tea lights because they can't flip it. Or sometimes I'll put the water bowl in, and I have these rocks that I've washed and that I've sanitized. And I put rocks in the water bowl just so they don't, because God damn it, they flip it every time. But I do that until they feed. And then once they start eating consistently, I'll put them on a little bit of aspen. The Montane Kings is kind of funny. I'll take that pencil tub and I'll fill almost the whole thing with aspen, and I'll put a paper towel over the top, so it's like maybe a 1/2 inch or 3/8 of an inch of room, and I'll tuck a little water bowl in there, and I'll just leave them in there, and they just stay under the aspen the whole time. But the corns, I just put maybe 1/2 inch layer. But man, using those deli cups, the compression closed deli cups like you would ship with, like the same thing, or you see at a reptile show, worked really, really well for me. That was probably the easiest year I had. And I don't know why I didn't repeat that last year or the year before. I'll probably go back to that. And you just hot glue water bowls in, and sometimes that hot glue pops when you're pressure washing them, when you're cleaning everything out. But yeah, I do. I'm kind of similar to y'all. I start with frozen thawed on everything. I go to boiled next just because getting live here is a pain in the ass. There's one feed store that does produce mice, and I'm getting all of their live mice anyways. Some of the California king snakes, conjuncta, all of those really don't want frozen thawed. They all want live. So all that stuff I've got to start on live anyways. And then live is the next step when I start trying to feed Mexicana. Just because Mexicana, you never know what your Mexicana is going to want to eat. You got some Leonis or some Alterna or something. And they might take frozen thaw, they might take boiled, they might take live, they might take brain, they might take skin, they might take scented, they might take frog, they might take. I'm so glad corn snakes are so much easier. Because I mean, you know, like I said, I had a snake that still hadn't eaten it. It actually, you know what? It started eating live of all the things. Didn't want any sense. So that's the folly of the pretty little king snakes, though.
Yeah. So you actually just reminded me of why I switched to the sandwich tubs. I know JT was doing it for, you know, ease of transport. I switched because I was keeping them in a rack, and I accidentally crushed the head of one of them when I was closing it.
Oh yeah,
Pinched her in there, and it wasn't just when I was closing it. I closed it, and she was coming out, and when I put the shim in, it squished her on top.
Oh man!
And I didn't know about it for. I mean, it was a while.
Ooh.
I opened that tub and it was not okay. But yeah, I switched everything after that just because most of my racks, they've got that little bit of play, and I just don't trust it.
That's one thing I will say about feeding corn snakes as babies, and not necessarily what you're talking about, but goddamn, when you feed a corn snake and you keep feeding it, you really got to keep up the feedings. I'm assuming Alex, JT, y'all have had the same experience.
Oh yeah,
you've really got to keep up with your feeding. I don't know how to do this. There we go.
You got it.
Well, awesome.
Big again.
Yeah, a lot of my customers are really surprised at what you can feed a corn snake.
Oh yeah.
Like they don't think a snake could eat a pinky.
I get that all the time. I have a snake that's like a year old at a show, and people are like, what does it eat? I'm like, I don't know, like hoppers, not hoppers, but like crawlers. And they're like, there's no way. There's no way. And I'm like, yeah, no, they're
like that's how snakes work.
Yeah.
They stretch pretty good.
Yeah. The craziest one I had last year was I bred the Mexican hognose. And they're tiny. I'll see if I can pull up a picture of one. They are tiny. I mean, the smallest snakes I've ever seen in my life, other than like blind snakes. And they eat pink. I had one that ate frozen thawed off the rib. But after you get them scenting and stuff, they eat pinkies, and they don't even look like they have a lump. And it's so weird because they're such small, little, tiny snakes.
Are they smaller than like a ringneck?
I've never seen a ringneck, so I don't know.
You're missing out.
A little bit of ignorance on my part. Those are beautiful snakes, but I have a picture here. Let's see here.
So I know like the African house snakes.
Those are
really tiny too.
I've had hatchling African house snakes before. These are smaller than that. Here we go.
And apparently the African house snake babies will take shockingly large meals for their size.
Oh yeah.
These
they can eat the same thing as a corn snake, and they're half the size of a corn snake.
That's so weird to me.
They're like little pythons. African house snakes are really cool.
They do prefer live a lot of times.
That's what I've heard. Yeah. Let me see. I gotta click over here. There you go.
Holy shit!
That's a baby Mexican hognose. I got every single one of them eaten. They are tiny as tiny can be. That's the bigger one. That's the smaller one. Yeah. What a tiny little animal. That animal will eat a pinky, and you won't even be able to tell. It's crazy.
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
They're really cool. I'm excited to breed those again. The Mexican hognose are really weird. You know, the adults are tiny. The adult females maybe 14 inches, and the adult male is maybe like 8 inches. And they're both wild caught. These are F1 Boy Scout roads. They're weird little critters, man. They're nothing like I have Western hognose, and they all come flying out of the cage, and they want to eat you, and they're dumber than rocks. The Mexican are really. Probably going to end up getting lumped into Westerns, but yeah, they're cool snakes. They're really neat. But awesome. All right, guys. Well, any closing notes on this? This was a fun episode. Yeah.
No, I'm just glad we finally got these two guys on here.
No kidding.
Glad to have another episode.
Yeah. So, and we got more. We have a very special guest lined up. Hopefully, it sounds like April 3rd, which is the next time I'll be able to podcast. We should be doing a live show, and that'll be me, Joe, and Justin is planning on joining us. We kind of tried to shift our schedules to make sure everybody could be there. And we'll do that one live, and we'll promote it a little bit. This guest has been very difficult to get on, and they've agreed to do a live show. So yeah, we're excited for that. As always, our podcast is brought to you by BlackBox Cages. Again, use code THN25 at checkout for a discount. I can't recommend their product enough. They make a very, very, very quality rack. Their shipping is good. Their pricing is still great. Look, one thing we're all going to have to get used to is material prices are going up right now. This is across the board. I work with metal. Joe, you do too.
Yep.
Plastics are going
not
up.
pretty right now.
Yeah, things that are coming in, they're just going up. We're all going to be kind of dealing with that, but it sounds like BlackBox is doing everything they can to keep their prices down. I haven't seen any pricing increases from them, so that's an exciting thing, and I think we should all support what they're doing. JT, Silent Hill Reptiles, that morph mark about to pop off. Will you also be doing your website again this year, JT, or you could just going to do
have the website up and running again? I know we took a break from it for a while. Probably should have babies starting around beginning of June, would be my guess.
Do you have anything available right now?
I have like one snake on Morph Market right now, so no.
Somebody go buy it. Yeah, cool. Alex, if you have any clutches this year, where are we going to be able to find them?
Probably local shows.
Okay, yeah. Shows are kind of funnest way to do it. Joe, if you produce anything this year, where are you going to be able to find it?
You're either going to find me and message me direct or local shows, because who knows if I'm going to remember to actually put a website up and morph market and all that, because I still have to actually make sure the new name I picked isn't taken yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
well, awesome. And also just bug them on Instagram, man. That's the best way to do it. Just message them, tell them what you want. Get on that waiting list.
Yeah, I mean,
also,
my name says open hostility on Instagram, and it's true, but also still send me a message. It's fine.
Oh, you're the least hostile person I know. Also,
like, don't tell people.
Like we were saying earlier, Alex can be found at Keystone Corns on Instagram. Are you also on Facebook?
Not yet, but I will be.
And then JT, easy to find with Silent Hill Reptiles. And last but not least, Fulvius Apparel. Use code THN at checkout for 15% off your next order. Again, repping the Fulvius Apparel, super cool designs. And yeah, until the next time, guys, thank you all so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
And